Welcome, historical moment, Ethan Buckman and Zaki Mannion to the launch of Stargate. How are y'all doing today?
Woo! Yeah, it's crazy. It's an upgrade day. It's like the craziest upgrade day.
This is a historical record document. Remember, we're not doing this for anyone live. We're doing this for hundreds of years down the road to look back. So put on your best face. The year is 2021. We all have masks on standby next to the screen, I'm sure. Many years down the road, you'll remember we were in the middle of the pandemic when we decided to launch Stargate. So this panel is called 5 Years Journey into Stargate. Can you guys remember where you were 5 years ago? Did you know each other already, or were you just meeting each other?
We knew each other 5 years ago.
We knew each other 5 years ago. I met Ethan in
early 2015, right?
Yeah.
At the Cryptonomicon conference in Mountain View.
Cryptonomicon conference where?
Cryptoeconomicon in Silicon Valley. This was like a very early cryptocurrency proof of stake. I think this was the first time a lot of the proof of stake people actually met in person.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the origin of proof of stake, right?
Yeah.
Proof of stake was the undercurrent trying to disrupt the Bitcoin maximalists.
The proof of work incumbents.
So there used to be this like Google group, right? That was called Cryptoeconomicon. And that was the origin of the conference. It was like this Google group of people who were talking about like scalable blockchains back in 2015. And there were probably like 100 people on that Google group. And then I had a startup company called SkewChain back then. And the what became Definity and String, they were called String back then. Tom Ding's company. And we used to sit across desks from each other in this little co-working space. And we were like, okay, co-working, like we convinced the co-working space to let us have a conference in the office over the weekend for free. And then we used that space to host the first proof of stake conference, basically.
Nice. And you were working at Monadics at the time, Ethan, with Jay?
I was at Monax, yeah. That was actually the first time I had met Jay in person as well. We hadn't started working together yet. We met, we spent some time together, and sort of, got along well enough that a few months later I moved down to work with him pretty closely for a few months. And that's when we ported the EVM to Tendermint and sort of really started working on making Tendermint more real.
So that was like a recruitment moment for Monax. They were like, oh, we want Jay to help us turn EVM into proof of stake.
We had already sort of decided that we wanted to go to use Tendermint with the EVM, for Monax. At the time, they were called Eris. Yeah, and so after that meeting, I was like, yeah, you guys should send me down to work with Jay on doing this. He didn't want to join Eris. Probably for the better.
And you guys went through a little bit of like, let's make Tendermint enterprise. Zaki, you were doing sort of enterprise blockchain. Were you part of that, or were you part of convincing them not to?
I was doing enterprise blockchain things. I think we were like slightly more successful at it than Tendermint was. Like we had like Wells Fargo as a customer for a while.
Oh yeah.
I was literally an advocate for like switching our stack to use Tendermint. I wanted to use Tendermint too. But Sriram, my co-founder, was never really happy. Was not proud of it. He wanted to use something that like had a bigger brand name associated with it.
What was the bigger brand name at that time than Tendermint?
Like Hyperledger was the big brand name at the time, like the IBM blockchain.
Nice. And then accelerate into like white paper days. Where did the gears change? Were you involved with that stuff already, Zaki? Was that something that Ethan, you and Jay were sharing broadly, or what was the sort of genesis or transition from Tendermint Enterprise to let's make a Cosmos white paper?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to raise VC in early 2016, so this would have been a year later, or a little bit after that. And that really wasn't working too well. Like Zach was saying, we weren't really successful at the enterprise play. And we were sort of like, all right, let's go back to basics here. We're really in this to build public cryptocurrency networks. What does it look like to address a lot of the problems of the day? And we were talking to a number of people. We were talking to Zaki. We were talking to guys like Jahan, Trembach, who's now at Althea, a number of other people who were around back then. Rick Dudley, yeah, for sure.
On then.
And yeah, and Jay and I just were like, let's make this happen. We started working on various iterations of what this would look like, and I think there was a session actually we were all in Jay's apartment with Zaki as well, and sort of sketching out this sort of Cosmos security model we were thinking through on the whiteboard of these like independent sovereign chains, and, what it could mean for them to send messages between each other and the sort of basics of the IPC protocol, the light clients. Yeah. And then it matured into a white paper. It was initially called Nuclear, like nuclear, but starting with a G, which was a terrible name. Yeah, so that was the original paper, and yeah, we had Zaki was reviewing it. A few other people were reviewing it, and then in the summer, we came up with the Cosmos namesake, and we published.
And then that was around the time you all met Pong, right? Pong was employee number 1 and began working even before the launch. I mean, he built the first site, right?
Yeah. Pong was working without pay for Tendermint Inc. in the very early days. We weren't sure what was going to happen with that, and yeah, it was. He was the first employee besides me and Jay. Zaki was still doing SKU Chain for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if you could talk for a minute, like, what did it feel like to do an ICO in 2017? Like the moment of deploying a contract, the idea that you're deploying a contract, there was sort of like a hose of activity, I guess you would imagine, at that period, a sort of peak.
Yeah, I mean, Cosmos kind of kicked off the ICO boom at some level, though. Of course, we call it a fundraiser. And it was wild. I mean, deploying Ethereum code, Solidity code that was going to hold money, potentially millions of dollars worth, was certainly one of the scariest things I've ever done. I mean, now we're upgrading multi-billion-dollar blockchains, but it somehow doesn't feel quite as bad as a couple $1 million in an Ethereum contract. Something about a highly complicated.
There were so many pieces of Solidity code that I was writing tests for in 2017. That like you would like say goodnight and like I wrote a bunch of tests like I think this thing is secure, and then you'd wake up the next day and there was like $100 million in that contract.
You used actually an early fork of the parity multisig, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the parity multisig before the bug was introduced. So that was good timing there. I probably spent about an hour reviewing every line of that contract, like an hour per line, let's say. So that was like a few hundred hours of like manual review. Security, it was audited as well. No one's stolen the money out of it yet, so.
And then let's see, accelerate a year or so. Beginning 2019, we were in a similar situation. Everybody was on a live stream. We were launching the Cosmos Hub. Do you guys remember where you all were?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Toronto. Yes.
New York.
Do you say Toronto, Ethan?
Yeah, I was in Toronto at the Interchain office there, Interchain Foundation office.
And were you in an office, Zaki, or were you at home?
I was at my place in New York.
I was in South Africa. I remember it was like a weird time zone. I was all alone, but I was like, oh my God, everybody's online. We're all in this together moment.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the climax of that launch, of course, was when, was it like block 12 or something like that? There was a halt.
16.
Block 16 will go down as a infamous number in the history of Cosmos. The other infamous number in the history of Cosmos that comes to mind is 118.
118.
Can one of you all tell me about 118?
Well, so 118 is the number of atoms on the periodic table. And so we picked 118 as the HD derivation path for atom on Ledger Nanos. And when you're generating keys, you'll have the 118 in there. But there was a sort of unofficial list that we missed when we did the fundraiser and set that. And there was a cryptocurrency called Piggy Coin that had the slot on the list, the 118. And so we had to do some schmoozing to get that, because the guys who maintained that list were, and Ledger was depending on the list. It was but but we made it work. And Piggycoin got some atoms out of it. They were they were validating in the early days. I don't think they're still a validator now, but yeah,
Piggycoin validator.
I mean, if they held, that's all. They have a lot of money right now.
That's amazing. Shout out Piggycoin. I hope you're here.
Yeah.
And then it was a big year, 2019. Stability, hub upgrades. There's been 3 hub upgrades now. This is the 4th.
This is the 4th.
Third.
This is the 3rd. Right? The 3rd?
Yeah.
Cosmos,
yeah.
Cosmos
1, 2,
Cosmos
3.
2.
Yep.
Cosmos.
There was technically the secure. There's technically the unplanned soft fork upgrade that we had never tried before and then did because of a security vulnerability.
Right. This is the 3rd time we've changed the chain ID, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
2 to 3 to 4. Yeah. And it's been over a year since the last one. That's pretty cool.
So we're going into Cosmos Hub 4. Are we going to keep iterating, or what is the? I mean, we can actually start keeping the same chain ID soon, couldn't we?
We can start keeping the same chain ID after this one. Technically, we didn't have to change the chain ID this time, but it does basically make it so there's no double signing risk during the upgrade. And so, given that this is also new, it seems safer to change the chain ID this time.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll do that for similar double signing risks in the future, or are we going to be Cosmos 4 forever? Cosmos 4 ever?
Well, there's definitely a class of chain that is going to require like regenesis, like what we're doing right now. There's like Tendermint changes that in the future that we anticipate will require that. Not everything can be done with the upgrade module that Stargate introduces. So I would expect. I mean, I think we expect to do this like somewhere between once a year and once every 2 years in the future for a while.
So we're 2 minutes to the next session. I'm just gonna shout that out because I might end up cutting
2 minutes
off.
from when Cosmos Hub 3 is theoretically going to halt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is the actual, what is taking place right now, and what is going to take place over the next 2 minutes to make this upgrade happen?
So hopefully at least a third of the validator set has set their validator nodes to halt at the hour. And so then the blockchain will halt. Cosmos Hub 3 will no longer make blocks. That will be the last block of Cosmos Hub 3. So we got to figure out what the last block of Cosmos Hub 3 was. And then we've got to, and then after we figure that out, we do the migration procedure, and then we start up our nodes, and then they got to all connect with each other, and then we got to have, then we got to rebuild the consensus.
We know yet who's going to produce the last block?
You can figure it out, but I didn't really put any energy.
I don't know.
Vertically changes in the next 2 minutes. We don't know.
I'm opening up Big Dipper. I'm going to see if I get to watch the last block produced. We're at 1 minute. I've been told that I'm supposed to drop off of these calls right before you all so that I'm able to be in the next room. I'm going to leave you really quickly with my moon head. Wishing you,
Thanks,
I mean, you're both validators, right? Best of luck. Make this happen.
And good luck, everyone. And good luck to Stargate. Woo!
Good luck. Good luck. Oh God, where did my tab go? All right. Peace.
Peace.
Just kidding. I don't know how to leave this room. Help. What do I click? Okay, I'm back. We're here. We got Shahan and we got Jack. We are doing.
Hey guys. So I think we have a stopped chain. We're currently trying to figure out what block to export.
I see block 5,200, 785. That's
but is that
785?
You need a full node to figure this out.
Yeah, you need. Yeah, Billy. Yeah, you need a full node. I'm seeing most folks reporting 5200791. 5270.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
791.
So it sounds like 791. 791 ACK. So for those folks who aren't really following along, we're in this validators chat, and what's going on right now is all of the full nodes, all of the validators have shut down their nodes, and everyone is trying to decide through this rough consensus which block is the last block of this network. And it looks like we've kind of come to that. And then validators are going to begin to start exporting their data to generate the new Genesis file. So I'm going to start on that right now, and I'll see you guys in just a second. Billy, I love your moon face. That's hot.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I'm going to jump into the validators chat. I want to watch. This is exciting. How are you doing, Shahan? You're new to the team. You've been thrown in the deep end right away, handling an upgrade, hurting the cat.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is great. Seeing, hopefully we don't see any drop jaws as things are happening here. I'm not running any validators right now, so I'm just watching the threads on the chat rooms, making sure everything is going okay. Yeah, this is super exciting.
I'm seeing some disputes about whether 790 was before 6 UTC and 791 was after 6 UTC. Oh my God.
791 was technically after 6 UTC, decidedly, but I think that the folks with halt height at 6 UTC did all get that 91 block. So most validators ended up halting at 91. So it looks like that's what most folks are going to 91.
So in the past, we did block height as the setting that you would put in your config. Why did we do
yes,
time?
We did. Well, that's an interesting question because the block times actually drift slightly over a period of weeks. So the exact timing can be off by as much as about like 30 minutes. And in the past, that's been an issue. So we decided to move to a halt time parameter. But now we have this other issue of, people disagreeing on the block, but there's no disagreement. It's 91.
Yeah.
Can we find out who produced 91?
That's a great one.
Dragon
Steak.
Steak.
Shout out Dragon
Nice.
Steak, the last block producer on Cosmos Hub 3.
All right. I am still exporting.
Okay, so we get everybody to agree on 91. They all start coming online. We can start monitoring power online. What's the best way to see what percentage is online? It's with this tool that you made, Zaki?
So because I don't make GUIs, I have a little command line tool, and I'm going to be able to start reading off who's online as soon as we get some nodes up. So what we're doing at Occlusion is we're rolling our infrastructure, we're exporting state, we're getting a Genesis file. So we got to do all of that stuff.
All right, so if I clone really quickly the Occlusion, or SIBO, will I also be able to do this, or is this going to destroy my computer because it's in Rust?
No, it's not going to destroy your computer because it's Rust. It is going to take all your CPU because it's Rust.
So, Snapchat is currently taking all of my CPU in order to generate a moon around my face. If I drop off because of this, know that I went down for a good cause.
That is a very, very good cause, Billy.
Yeah, you went down in style.
All right, here we go.
When Billy NFT.
There's many Billy NFTs. Clover's network are all NFTs. Get out there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do have over 24 clovers. So
we got a Clover whale on the screen right now. Actually, I've been helping out a friend with an NFT project. Look for updates this week.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, NFT is very hot right now.
So hot right now. When NFTs, Cosmos is the real question. We had to cancel a NFT brainstorm yesterday, right?
We did. When NFTs Cosmos.
Do we have is there a poll functionality here? We're just having a discussion about which.
What's the question?
Everyone is debating whether or not to do 790 or 791 for the export.
Well, I think that 791 got spammed so much, it's been memed into existence, A. But B, another wonderful tradition in Cosmos updates, bike shedding the upgrade process.
Yes, bike shedding the upgrade process live.
Yeah.
Should I install the
There's-
Discord
this-
poll bot really
This is
quick?
this
Can
is
you
the
put in
way.
poll? Can you just add the poll bot, Billy?
I'm looking for one right now. Is there a preferred one? Simple poll? We're going to do a live poll installation. You guys think an upgrade live is crazy? I'm going to live install this poll bot into the Cosmos Discord right now.
Cosmos has a long history of doing live network launches and upgrades, which is something that I've always thought is fun.
I mean, we really pioneered like the whole like launch a network with the community. We were, as far as I know, the first people to do it, and like this kind of general shit show. Has been part of the Cosmos tradition.
Great.
All right, I think that we have a poll bot. Let me see. Nice.
Poll bot to the rescue.
Okay.
Oh, look, we don't even need one.
Oh, Abby Shake.
This is how poll bot works.
There's a clear consensus for 791.
Okay.
Yeah, clear
Yeah.
consensus for 791.
It only makes sense because the consensus algorithm is going to stop after the timestamp is hit in a block.
All right, we got a poll.
Okay.
No, we don't. I don't know how to do this.
Still exporting. How are we doing here? A-top. Oh.
Get out of here, Dave. You're confusing everybody.
Export process
here we go.
not CPU bound.
No, it is not CPU bound. It is just slow as fuck. But
I'm still compiling your Arecibo. We see 12 votes for 91. Oh my God, now there's 11 votes for 90.
okay, people are being convinced by 90. I'm fine with 92. I don't.
Yeah.
I have begun exporting from 91.
Okay.
Oh my
You might need to.
Start.
91 still has 14 votes, 90 has 12.
So
Whoever's voting for 89, get
Sonny,
the fuck
Sonny,
out of here.
Sonny makes a strong point.
There's still more on 91. Follow the poll bot. So it's fun to invite a little chaos in this moment right now, but what are we going to do in the future so that this doesn't happen?
We have the upgrade module. This is what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, the upgrade module prevents this.
Let's hear about the
So
upgrade module.
Let's talk about how great.
Actually, let's for a moment appreciate this chaos. This is the last time that we're going to be on a call like this for chaos during an upgrade. In the future, it's going to be automated. We're going to be all asleep probably.
agreed.
Who's suggesting 92? Come on, Dennis. The poll is 25 people at 91.
Since there are no transactions, probably the state is going to be identical between those blocks anyways, and then deciding what the next block
They won't
is.
be identical because of the proof of stake system. So
Right.
point.
Unless validator is changed, right? I guess the stake
They're
was assigned in the last block.
highly
Hey, Jack. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. Do you mind refreshing your browsers? Because apparently the audience is having trouble hearing you. All of you guys, thanks.
Back. Back, I think.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Seems to have worked.
Yep, we're good.
And we're back.
I will just still say that this stuff, like every time we do this, it's just like utterly terrible.
Every time we do
Yeah, oh,
what?
totally. Yeah.
Every
It's
time we
terrifying.
upgrade a blockchain, it's utterly terrifying. A blockchain I was just using, like right before this.
Jack, you were the person who went slackjaw during block 16 in the very first upgrade. Can you tell us about that moment?
Yeah, that was a really fun one. And it's funny, I remember at the time thinking, like, I think Zachy just brought the network back online. And I went back and watched it again later, and he did. I was wearing a bow tie, and it was the first mainnet launch of Tendermint. And we had done, 5 to 10 different test nets at that point. And they had all gone really, really smoothly. And somebody delegated to an offline validator right when the network was coming online, and it stopped the network at block 17. And then right as soon as that validator came back online, the network started producing blocks again. Which those are some of my favorite of the moments from these upgrades.
Don, I'm going to need you to act a change to the migrations.
The bow tie was great. I should have brought it out again today. It's in storage. I'm sorry, guys. My bad.
No, I'm searching now for a bow tie filter. I don't have any. All I have is this cat for you guys. But here's another space one. There we go. Still in space.
Okay.
Seeing your actual face was a bit jarring after the moon. I was like getting used to the moon finally.
Sorry, how can I? There we
John, I'm
go.
sending you a pull request link that doesn't have a description in it. I'm going to add a description as I'm sending it to you.
Okay, got it.
Oh, I thought that was what you looked like, Billy. I've been misled.
This is actually
90.
this is what I actually look like.
Oh, cool.
I'm going back to the safety of the moon. Here we go.
First
This is-
run.
Looks like we had a mistake in the markdown file of the upgrade. Is that right? We're
Yeah.
not supposed to use the flag 40 height. Removing the flag 40 height.
Chorus Joe. It has the first hash I've seen.
Okay.
Oh shoot! I need
You
to
act that,
restart the up. Yep. I need to restart my upgrade. This is actually a really key point, folks, and highlights a.
I need another person to act this. John, can you find someone to help me?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I don't know if we're waiting for the statuses, the checks to pass, or we're waiting for another approval. No, okay.
It's the checks. Yeah, just the checks. And not sure why it's taking so long. It's just an MD file.
Eddie, that's because.
Okay, I'm gonna squash and merge. Okay, merged.
Yeah.
Bucky?
Thanks, Saki.
Yep.
Shahan, get in there.
So I saw Chorus Joe has the hash. Did anybody actually post the Genesis somewhere that I can download so I don't have to run it?
Oh, Genesis is ready already.
No, highly unlikely.
Yeah.
I think that the folks that have done it had 4.0 height in their commands, like I did. So I have just restarted.
What does that option do?
Okay, so what 4.0?
What does that option do? Yep.
Yeah, what I can explain, Jack.
Yeah, please.
So what 4.0 height does is it resets the state of the proof of stake distribution system to essentially like a nil state, and basically withdraws all undistributed rewards and shares them.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense then. Since we're continuing from the Cosmos Hub 3 height +1, that's why that option is not needed. Makes sense.
You're muted, Jack.
I think we have a Genesis hash. We have a hash.
Yeah.
Chorus run reporting first. Kalpa Tech reporting next.
No, John 96 reported next. From Zero Base VC. Then Kalpa.
Everstake reporting.
Fish. Genesis. Vertico.
Is that, yes, this is a sorted, yeah, okay, great. All right, so this is the first stage. So we export the state and then we have to migrate it and then the network's ready to go. So there's one hash, this is the first hash, and then there's a final hash, which is the Genesis file hash. So there's still more process here.
This is the export hash.
All right.
What version are you going to use, Jack?
Export hash strong. 4.0.2. Good work by the Tendermint as well as the Gaia and SDK teams pushing out multiple releases on launch day, fixing issues right as they find them. Impressive. Okay. That's great. Just wait. So folks, if you maybe had pruning everything on your validator node or were otherwise unable to get this block, just wait for the final Genesis file to be published. There's probably about 75 different people calculating it independently right now, so we're good to go. Next step, C85 checksum. Yes. Oh, me and my slow nodes. Yeah. That's a good question, Shahan. How big is it?
Yeah, we're going to try and figure out where to put it. If it's too big.
Sika reporting. Nice.
Great. Lots of verifications of that hash. It's good to see that the export didn't take
122 MB.
122. All right. That's.
You can imagine that that's approximately what the Genesis file is going to end up being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Pong gave us another confirmation of the hash.
Nice. Pong is on.
Nice.
Staking is in. IrisNet.
Strong.
All right. Tobias.
I see a first guess at a hub Genesis JSON.
Begins with
Waiting for more confirmations there.
That's zero base VC might be the first. Chorus as a second on the second Genesis build hash, beginning with AF1C.
Nice. Okay. Sounds like we got it.
I want a Genesis file. Where y'all posting it?
Yes, for those watching, this is an extremely manual process, and this is when we were deciding to launch the hub, we were saying like, which features can we take and which features can we live without? And one of the features that we decided to live without was upgrades. And now 2 years later, here we are dealing with that problem.
And solving it.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, I think we should all enjoy this because this is the last time that it will be a manual process. Going forward, all future upgrades will be automatic using the upgrade module, automated.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about iterative design and iterative building is you get new exciting things every time. You don't have to try to build it perfect from day one.
I 100% agree with that.
This session is 30 minutes. We're going to have some more validators on in just a minute. We're going to have... What's up?
I'm just, all of those validators are going to be face down on their screens. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, their look on their face will be roughly my look on their face. Right?
Pylon confirms first level Genesis hash as well. Okay, so now I need to, I'm going to mute myself because I like talking to myself while I do this. Sorry.
Okay.
So is the Genesis file going to be uploaded to the Gaia GitHub repo, or do
It's going
we
to go to the mainnet repo,
mainnet repo?
which is historically where we've kept Genesis files. Now, the fun thing is that we've never had a Genesis file that's this large before. And so Shahan is going to try and use GitHub's large file support to support a very large Genesis file, and we'll see if that works.
Yeah. Let's see if I remember a good LFS.
Stream might be down again. Can people in the chat?
Okay, should we just go ahead and refresh this thing?
I'll do it.
Okay.
We're going to do it. We're going to go.
I'm back. You back?
Yep, stream is fine.
Cool.
All right. It looks like we have confirmation of that. Oh, looks like we have confirmation of that final Genesis file hash. I think we're seeing about.
I'm a little bit concerned because people keep posting things that look like 4.0 height exports, and then saying that they got the same hash that we think is not a 4.0 height export. Can someone?
Zucky, I did the non-4.0 height export, and I got that C91F ending in C850 hash. Did you also compute that?
Tony's running it right now, so I'll tell you.
Okay, cool. I'm currently installing 4.0.2.
Okay.
Huge buy wall at Binance. Okay, where are we at here?
All right.
All right, make install.
Okay. Joe just from Chorus One just posted a candidate Genesis one.
All right. Nice.
I can share that link. You can find that link. It's in the validated verified chat.
All right, guys, we need to wrap up this session and transition to the next one. Do you want to wrap up?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, you guys. Keep it up.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Billy.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Hey.
We got some echo. Is that me? Where's that coming from? Are you speaking in the same room?
Okay, if you guys have an echo, that means one of you guys has Crowdcast open on another window. So just close that out.
Uh-huh.
Billy, you're muted.
There we go. There we go. Okay. We good? Nobody's got echo? Welcome. Thanks very much for joining, everybody. Maybe do a quick round of intros. We've got David from Cosmos Station. Hello, David. You are the lucky last block producer from Cosmos Hub 3. How does that feel?
Feels great.
You are the one who has it open in 2 tabs. Maybe open up some tabs and we'll get back to you. We've got Quan from Forble. How are you doing, Quan?
Good. And then it's a great time. It's a great time zone for the upgrade.
That's great to hear. I woke up early, but it's nice to be making an early start. I had a couple big cups of coffee, and now I turned into a moon.
Nice.
And we've got JK from Steakfish. Welcome, JK.
Hi, it's great to be here. How are you doing, Billy? How's everyone doing? We're really excited for this upgrade right now.
Hell yeah, doing great. Thanks very much. And last but not least, Brian Crane. Welcome from Chorus One.
Yeah, hey everyone. It's great to be here. I was just thinking back. It was like, wow, it was like over 4 years ago that I joined the Cosmos team and started working on this thing. So it's crazy how much time has passed, but also it's amazing to see how far it has come. And I saw in the CoinDesk article, they mentioned, 200 Tendermint chains that are like running on Tendermint, upgrading now. I'm not even sure how many it is, right? But like the ecosystem has exploded so much in size. It's incredible.
That's the beauty of a permissionless system. We don't even know if you have a blockchain running out there. Yeah, we had this great session at the very beginning of the conference. I mean, I don't know whether it calls it a conference, with Zachy and Ethan going down memory lane, sort of 5 years ago stuff, did an accelerated timeline. It feels like things have happened really fast, and it's great to be here with you all. Here's a question. Were all of you validators on the very first hub, on Cosmos Hub 1?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So you were all here back in 2019 in a similar situation, a different chat room?
Yep, and I...
Sorry, go ahead.
And I remember Zachy saying, it wasn't, it was Sunny, who momentarily said like, oh, that's it, maybe it's not going to run. And like, we all had the jump scare for a second, but eventually launched. And I believe, every single one of the validators here were there for that like momentous moment,
Was that the notorious block 16?
Oh yeah, that might be the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying there's a couple of notorious numbers in the history of Cosmos. 16 is one of them. The other one that comes to mind is 118, which is the slip 44 key derivation path for atom. And it's also the number of periodic elements on the periodic table, chosen explicitly for that meaningful attribute. So you guys, are you all splitting your attention like an insane amount right now? I mean, you're doing an active upgrade and I'm bothering you with questions and waxing on about history and things.
For us, actually, we're preparing our products to be live on Cosmos Hub, like our wallet and mint scan. So it's a bit hectic, but it's exciting. So yeah, everything's going great.
Yeah, I feel like I've been monitoring a lot of people testing the upgrade for use as validators. What's the upgrade and testing circuit like when you want to aim for block explorers or wallets?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? Sorry.
I feel like I've been monitoring all of the testnet upgrades for validators who are going through this, but there's a whole other side of this test and upgrade for wallets, exchanges, block explorers. Quan Forble also runs a block explorer. Steakfish, I feel like you guys have a dozen products that I'm always slightly unaware of the full list of them, but I'd be curious. I mean, even Chorus One, you've got Anthem, which is a wallet block explorer kind of combo. Would love to hear what that process is like from each of you.
Well, first of all, sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think. Well, the process was like there are a lot of changes since the last SDK, and then even for like version 39, it's so different from Stargate. So we have to understand the differences, and then we have to make sure that the data would be consistent. And we see a lot of new messages for the IBC, and then we have to we have to study how we have to display all those channels, chain IDs, and tokens from different chains. It will be a great challenge.
Totally. I mean, this was one of the goals of setting up the user experience working group, is to try to make sure that, you know, we can share learnings, knowledge, and push forward some sort of a user interface standard for understanding how do we talk about IBC assets, how do we talk about IBC, you know, multi-chain interfaces. We've only really seen block explorers for single networks at a time. How do those change fundamentally when you're talking about networks of networks of networks? David, we've talked about this before too. I know that Cosmos Station and MintScan has already been supporting, you know, multiple networks in many ways based on the bridges to Binance, for example, and you sort of have a little distinction when there's, like, say, a Kava token that came from Binance or a Binance token that's on the Kava network, and I think you put like a little circle symbol next to the token icon. Is that right? Oh, you're muted right now.
So we're probably going to show let our users know where each of these tokens came from and where it led through, because we're going to have multiple hubs, multiple zones, and these tokens will be from a bunch of other places. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for users to distinguish where each token is from. And actually, to everyone who's saying that you're seeing zero balances on your mobile wallet, we're going through an upgrade, so it's fine. It'll be resolved soon.
And it's gone. JK, have you been running into topics, questions, problems, thinking about the user interface side of multi-chain assets in an IBC world?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to steal the spotlight here of my fellow validators who have actual, like, really high usage products like Anthem, like MintScan and Big Dipper that are being used. Like, I think we definitely have less of these products so like we have less to worry about on that front. Rather, our focus currently right now is on how do we, like, we still think this is the beginning. So we're more focused on how do we get more developers and more teams working on tools and applications around Cosmos. Yeah, so that's been our core focus. So I definitely want to punt the question to Brian, who probably has a much better answer than I could give.
Yeah, well, actually, so this is maybe a point to sort of announce this, is that for Anthem, so for those people who are familiar with it, it was this kind of like web dashboard that we built with like historical data. So this is something we actually are not upgrading for the Cosmos Hub for. So I think, I mean, the historical data will still be available, but I think it won't like work really going forward. And the reason there for us was just that we were doing like too many things as a team. And, you know, the two main things that we are focusing on is, one is running validators, and the other thing is interoperability. And there we are working on some like cool stuff that's also very tied to the Cosmos Hub. And in particular, we're working on Celo Cosmos IBC bridge. And so that's something that we want to get live this year and get, you know, like assets moving between Cosmos and Celo. There's actually some cool use cases already that are planning to use the bridge. So that, you know, could have a big impact, I think, on the Cosmos ecosystem too. One is that Celo has a kind of on-chain reserve for their stablecoin. So they have a, you know, US dollar stablecoin, and they're using, at the moment, it's mostly their own staking token, but they also centrally custodying other assets like Bitcoin and stuff to back that stable token. And they want to bring Cosmos assets into that reserve. So that would be one use case. And then they also have some partnership with, I hope it's been announced, I don't know. But they're also working with Region Network, who's doing, you know, who I'm very excited about, right? They're going to launch, and they're doing like kind of carbon offset and, you know, these tokens to track like environmental impact, and you moving those across chains also to, like, for example, Celo to like kind of offset the chain footprint is also one thing that this could be used for. So I'm super excited about having some of those use cases live and sort of actually bringing to life some of the original promise of Cosmos, of having these interoperable blockchains where you have one that's specialized in some area and then producing something that's used by another blockchain.
That's really cool with regions carbon credits. This has come up many times through the history of blockchain, is about the energy efficiency and the environmental impact of blockchains. And I think that we like to think that proof of stake is an obvious improvement on that from the inefficiency and burning of electricity that takes place in proof of work. But I actually don't know what the real sort of figures are for energy consumption of proof of stake. And I mean, they're non-zero. And the idea that actually we push that to zero by buying carbon credits from region is kind of exciting.
Yeah, we've been doing that actually since the start already. So we've worked with region on like estimating our carbon footprint, and we did some big analysis. We did including like flights and how much energy the laptops use and stuff like that. And then we offset it. I think last year was with some platform called Nori. So we bought some carbon credits there because region wasn't ready yet. But I think this year, or like we still have to do our 2020 offset, and we're really keen on doing it like fully on chain, with region this time. And I think region has some big, that's also one of the things I'm excited about, right? Because they're going to launch soon, and they've produced some carbon credits now that were bought by Microsoft. So they've kind of gone through the due diligence with Microsoft, and so I think it's going to be cool. I think with the carbon footprint proof of stake, it's not so bad. It was actually much lower than what we expected, and the big part of a carbon footprint ended up being like the flights we took to go around to like do our team retreats. I think that was actually the biggest part.
Yeah, it's nowhere close right now to, I think, how much miners are currently spending. Yeah, so yeah.
That's also really exciting to think about atoms being locked up in the sort of collateral debt pools that are used for the stable token on, not only Celo, but I guess that's possible on Kava and things like that. And one of the topics that I'm really excited about lately is interchain accounts, where if these atoms are existing on other networks that are sort of collectively owned, while they're in those pools, they could potentially be, redelegated back to validators on the hub, and those networks could be earning staking rewards on the atoms, and sort of participants at a network level rather than at a user level for delegating atoms is a really wild concept, I think. This becomes possible with IBC. What are your all's sort of moments with IBC that you're looking forward to most? So we're launching right now. IBC is enabled. Token transfers are disabled initially, correct? So we will be able to start sort of monitoring IBC connections being created, client IDs. Is that sort of the moment that for you all you've been looking forward to? Is it the moment of token transfers? Is it some of these more far-flung, wild, and exciting IBC applications? What do you think for each of you will be like the IBC moment? Maybe let's start with Quan. We haven't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah, for Forbo, we are also developing dashboards. So I think IBC would enable us to have a cross-chain profile verification and like cross-chain messaging system. We are also looking into Interchain account and see what we can do with that.
The beginning you said the cross-chain identification. Is this the validator profile system?
Yeah, validator profile. And then like with that, we can actually communicate between the validators and the delegators.
So this is a feature I've heard requested a lot before. I mean, you guys are all validators here. Do you have a system of talking to your delegators? Do you have newsletters? Have you ever done anything to collect emails? Is that, it's not really possible, easily possible.
Yeah, because basically currently we have to communicate via like Twitter or maybe email. And then actually we don't really know if that person is a delegator of our validator node, right? And And then how can you identify if a validator is the validator you're communicating with? So with the cross-chain profile identity verification, I think we can communicate in a decentralized way.
Super cool. Do the rest of you have any format or relationship to your delegators?
No, it looks largely, I think it's like largely social consensus, sort of like what Ethereum is doing today, where they don't have like a hard mechanism for people to vote on, but rather key community leaders would just go out and just like gather information and gather opinions. So that's the rough consensus that we're going through. But at the end of the day, if any of the members or delegators feel very strongly, they can always vote to reverse any of our votes. So I think we have that fallback. So we're pretty comfortable with the social consensus right now.
Brian, have you ever had a like, please confirm if you're my delegator by signing this and sending it to us via email or something?
Yeah, I mean, of course, they are kind of direct. You know, we know some delegators, maybe there are like some kind of more some kind of direct relationships in some cases. And then, we have like Telegram group, email newsletter, things like that. Yeah, if people want to like go there, like would love you have you say hi. But I think the big challenge is absolutely there that we don't really know who are our delegators. It's hard to communicate, right? Because like you're putting out something on Twitter and newsletter and Telegram, but probably like 90% or more of our delegators, they don't see it, they don't hear about it. And it would be really great to have some solution that's more direct, where you can send a message to your delegator, but that also maintains the privacy, right? So that people don't have to KYC, right? They don't have to leak their identity, because that's also a super valuable thing. And I think it's important not to give that up.
David, I mean, you all have the wallet as an interface that you probably get a lot of your delegators from. Are you able to track that? Are you able to confirm that? Do you feel like you have a good idea of how to communicate with your delegators?
We don't actually have a newsletter or anything, but we do have our community channel. But most of them are just general users on our app, so we can't really track who's our delegator or not. And we do actually have a local community channel that we run in Korea too. So we try to communicate with them what types of proposals come up, and summarize the proposals, and then see what the delegators think about it. Just let them know every time we have anything.
So the concept of like a delegator-based DAO has come up in different formats before. I think the first time I heard about it or thought about it was with relation to staking derivatives. So you can imagine some validator has all of the atoms that are associated with it and can be sort of reproduced as vouchers for those atoms. So they're sort of redeemable and they become transferable again. But those vouchers are really attached to that validator. They're not really fungible with the other derivatives that would exist, because atoms staked to one validator have a different security assumption than atoms staked to another validator. And so you sort of have this sort of collective idea per validator. And the other time that it sort of came up was potentially around shared security and cross-chain validation. This idea that like each validator might be choosing, should I start validating on multiple networks? Should I use the same atoms as like risk for multiple networks? And is this something that I want to like ask my delegators before I do it? Should I make it the delegator's choice? Or is it my choice, and then delegators can just redelegate to somebody else who's, maybe validating on more networks because they want to earn more rewards, or who's validating on less networks because they have a more conservative risk appetite? Do you think that the need for validators to actively manage or interact with their delegators as a community will grow? Or do you think that there's other ways that these will sort of be mediated, kind of free market methods? Maybe we can jump. Juan, do you have any thoughts about that?
I think it's quite important for the validators to have some kind of communication channel to the delegators, because like the validators understand the protocol well, and then the validators have the I think the validator have the obligation to like how to educate the delegators, to educate the public to understand more on the project, and that would help the community grow, and that would help the project being better and better.
JK, do you have thoughts about that?
I think the need for it, I mean, it will definitely be there, but I don't think it's a top priority, in my opinion. Just consistently, because so far social consensus seems to be working for us. If people have requests, they always feel free to reach out to us on Telegram or email. And I haven't heard anyone say like directly that like, oh, their opinions were not being reflected. Rather, I want to stress that our current focus right now is just really to try to onboard more developers and more teams. Like there just cannot be like, we could always have a lot more developers helping build out the Cosmos ecosystem, especially with IBC now here. There's a lot more that could be done. And so I think there's going to be a new round of tools, applications that developers could be building upon. So it's really important for us to attract these people, to bring these people into the ecosystem.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I try to think about on a daily basis as part of the funding program at the ICF. And I understand that Stakefish is also, set up a separate validator whose all the rewards are dedicated to a funding program, to grants. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, just to quickly add on, yes, we have a validator called Grantfish, where 99% of the staking rewards received on that is being distributed to key Cosmos projects. So far we have been providing grants to Chain Abscess, who has been who maintains Kepler, the popular wallet right now, and then also the Confio team, who is behind CosmWasm, which is being used by so many of the Cosmos SDK based chains to enable smart contracts. So we're always open to applications on the Grantfish side, and we're trying to think of better ways to provide grants to new developers and new teams entering in the ecosystem.
Oh yeah, we need to jam on this some more once we're offline. Brian, do you have any thoughts about if you think the relationship between delegators and validators will evolve to be closer, further apart? Will there be more need for anonymity, or will there be more need for coordination?
Yeah, sorry. I would actually think it's probably going to get further abstracted over time. I think with IBC, what starts is the area of Cosmos DeFi, and in general, staking in DeFi is going to emerge much more. This is already happening to some extent on other chains, right? Like JK and Stakefish and us and some others like peer-to-peer citizen staking facilities are all running a project called Lido on Ethereum, where basically you can put Ether in a smart contract and you get back another token. It's kind of like staked Ether that you can use in DeFi. And Lido's having like huge adoption with almost 200,000 ETH in there. And so I think stuff like that is going to happen as well in the Cosmos ecosystem with IBC and maybe with other ways to do it. I think there's different approaches to this. And you can make a very nice user experience, right? Where you can have like a token that, maybe is fully liquid, but still accruing staking rewards, and where the slashing risk is kind of diversified since it's staking across maybe a number of high quality validators. And then I think it changes a little bit. It's almost like a different product. It has like maybe better features, and you have like constant liquidity, better risk, maybe higher rewards in some ways. But you don't have as direct a connection to the validator. And so I think that's gonna happen, and there's gonna be different people layering different stuff on top, and maybe they're not gonna directly delegate but buy some other asset. And I think there's gonna be a tremendous amount of innovation there. I'm super excited about this kind of Cosmos DeFi and cross-chain DeFi, IBC DeFi. It's gonna become a massive area in the next year or 2 years, and will bring a huge amount of change, including, I think, change to the delegator-validator relationship as well.
Totally. I mean, there's only a limited amount of like on-chain data about a validator's sort of performance history. I mean, you can get, how many blocks that they dropped or how many times they're offline, but we don't see a lot of, automated delegating services or something like that that will, automatically choose the best validator for you at any given moment. And I can imagine schemes like that would be used for these staking derivative systems, perhaps, like, making sure that you have a balanced group of atoms from different validators for different reasons to sort of auto adjust or something like that, which is, a level of abstraction away from good old fashioned gut check. Do I like this validator or not? Are they for a good purpose or not? That's super interesting. David, how do you feel about that? Do you think, I mean, you're so close to your users actually that you'll maybe try to move closer to them, or do you think that you'll also succumb to robotization or automation?
Well, I think the whole idea behind POS is that delegators stake their atoms, not only for the inflation, but also for the growth of the network. So they choose validators based on their diligence. So I think part of that trust is the belief that the validator is able to share as much information as possible and also act in the best interest of the delegators. So yeah, I think it's in the best interest of the delegators to be informed of things happening in the network as much as possible. And part of that effort is, for example, letting our mobile wallet users know of proposals that are going on through push notifications and our community channels. So we're probably going to move a little closer because we have all these products and we're getting community CS requests like every day.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely want to be more involved with the validators actually that I'm delegating to. I mean, even if it's just getting push notifications about the fact they're changing commission, I want to hear about that. It makes me think when Sika first launched, they had 0 commission for a while, and they really accumulated a lot of delegations. And I think Sunny did a great job of sort of making that a priority, but the funnier version of that was that he printed all of these Sika gold coins. I mean, they weren't gold, but they were like gold colored. And he was like, if you prove to me that you're one of my delegators, I'll give you one of these like commemorative coins. And I still have one because I, of course, at the beginning when it was 0, wanted to be part of that gold rush. I wonder how many people actually got those. It's a pretty tough system to verify. He was like, verify it to me. I was like, I don't want to verify it to you. I don't want to tell you who I am. So he ended up believing me, but I don't know how far he took that with everybody else.
Dox yourself for some gold coins.
Exactly. So we're at 1 minute before the ending here. I'm told that I'm supposed to try to drop off beforehand just so I can be immediate on the next one. I learned how to do it now by using this.
Oh, and he's gone.
Yeah, well, the session had not so smooth yet, but I think it was great to catch up with all of you guys, and so excited to.
Yeah, that's great.
Sorry about that.
Likewise.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Back to hoping this upgrade goes well. Oh, hey Billy.
Sorry, I'm back. Thanks for your time. I didn't mean to drop off there like that. I clicked the wrong button. I might do the same thing while I click something else. Thanks again if I do disappear.
All right, awesome.
Welcome, everyone.
We're live. Can we get started? I think so. I mean, I'm looking at the IBC screen, so I assume.
Yes, you're live.
Cool. So welcome, everyone. My name is Gauthier. I'm working for Tendermint. Been working there for almost 3 years now. And I'm really, really excited to present the new IBC website. So as you all know, IBC is launching with a Stargate upgrade. This has been in the works for like 2 years now, and we thought it deserves its own website. So you can now access it with the following URL: ibcprotocol.org. It's live, and I'll just do a short walkthrough. This is
and the rest of us are here and will comment.
Yeah, of course. This is going to be like a fun session, so don't hesitate, guys, to jump in. So what we wanted to do with this website is make sure that IBC has its own brand because it deserves it. IBC is what we consider the standard for interchain blockchain communication. It has been in the works again for 2 years, and yeah, this website is going to basically enable you to get all the information you need about IBC, some useful documentation, answer some FAQ questions, and more. And of course, this is just the version 1. We have like other versions in the works with more information and more content. But we really wanted to have something to show you for this network upgrade. So if you navigate to the homepage, you'll get some useful information about IBC, and then some news. So pretty exciting stuff happening in the Cosmos ecosystem. You're invited to check it out. As we're going to explain, IBC has been developed by a bunch of organizations, not just one. So yeah, we've all collaborated together to deliver IBC today, and this is just the beginning.
And I gotta say, they're awesome to work with.
Yeah, everyone here is awesome. Yeah, if you want to chat, we have some useful links here. I guess the most important section of the website is probably the documentation page. So here you'll be able to find both the overview paper and the technical specification. So these are basically the canonical reference if you want to delve more into IBC. Then you'll be able to see the status of different IBC implementations. Obviously, we have like for now only the cosmos-sdk implementation is ready to be deployed in production, but many other people and organizations are working on other implementations of IBC. For example, like the Substrate IBC for the Polkadot ecosystem. We also have like a REST implementation, and I'm sure many more are coming. The relayers are, I mean, we're probably going to explain it further, but these are like processes that enable the packets to be relayed between chains. And just like IBC implementations will have several relayer implementations. And by the way, anyone is welcome to come in and build additional implementations or relayer implementations. And finally, we have like IBC applications. So just to be clear, IBC, when we talk about IBC, we're really talking about like the low-level protocol that enables, connections, channels, and IBC packets to be relayed. But of course, the end goal is to build applications on top of it. So an example of an application is to send transfer tokens between one chain and another. But like I can tell you that like many more interesting IBC applications are being developed right now and will be developed in the future. And then we have some Cosmos SDK guides. So if you want to add IBC to your SDK blockchain or build an IBC application specifically for the Cosmos SDK, you will find useful links to do so here. And then we have the FAQ, of course. This is pretty complete, but we would probably have other sections in the future. So for now, this is like a pretty basic and straightforward website. But we do hope that, in the future, it's going to be extended to add like a lot more things. One final thing that needs to be said is that this is fully open source. So you will be able to find the source code on GitHub. So the organization is Interchain.io. It's the Interchain Foundation GitHub organization. And then the repo is called ibcprotocol.org. So if you want, if you find like, for example, a typo, or if you want to signal that you're, building a new IBC implementations or anything else, feel free to, jump into this repo, open a pull request, and once it's merged to the main branch, is going to be automatically deployed on the website. So yeah, that's about it for this website tour. I thank you guys for joining. And yeah, if Agoric or Shen or Chris, you have any comments or remarks, feel free to jump in as well.
I think you're muted.
Oh, I am. All right, now we all get to join you. And Billy will join us too here eventually as well. But in the meantime, I asked in chat how many people know what IBC is, right? And I keep, we've got the technical stuff, with all these teams that have been building awesome things. Welcome, Billy.
Hello. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Hello, Billy.
Okay, so I didn't really need you to moon me.
Hey.
I'm here in ICF orbital base stations.
I like it. It actually looks like a real backdrop.
It is, in fact, a real backdrop. Yes.
It is. Wow.
Yes. I couldn't get OBS installed, so up it went.
Production quality, very high. How's everybody doing this morning?
Awesome.
Evening?
Pretty good so far.
Awake.
Cool. We got a couple people calling from Berlin. Dean, you're calling from California, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And
you're calling from Proxima Centauri?
Exactly. Part of my internet goes down. The reception's bad out here. The topic of this call is IBC overview and the future of the Interchain. We've got Chris Groves from Interchain GmbH and Sean Braithwaite from Informal, and we've got Dean Tribble from Agoric here. You guys are all involved with IBC at various levels. I think probably Chris, you're the most associated with the protocol. You've been working on the spec for quite some time. When did you? I know that when you joined Tendermint, you were sort of promised you get to work on this really fun, interesting problem IBC, right? What was that like, and when did you actually get to begin working on this fun, cool problem?
That's right. When I interviewed for Tendermint, at that point I was not in Berlin. I was in the United States. So all my interviews were phone calls, and the third interview was with Ethan Buckman, who I think is currently busy testing the Stargate upgrade. So he may not be here at the moment, but that's because he's doing more important things. And when we sort of negotiated at the end, he said, well, it seems like a good fit. You seem interested. What would you like to do? What would make it interesting for you? I said, well, I like this interchain protocol thing you're working on. That sounds cool. Can I come work on that? He said, sure. We just need to launch this Cosmos Hub. It'll just take a few months. Don't worry about it. Help out with that, and then you can work on the interchain protocol. Then I flew to Berlin. Oh, hello, Ethan. And a year later, we launched the Cosmos Hub. But in that period, of course, I learned a lot about blockchains, and then had a chance to work on the IBC specification, which eventually, unbelievably, is now being deployed.
Which took longer than one could believe, and yet it's still astonishing that it's all sort of here and out. It's really amazing.
So you were working a lot with Dean during that time when you actually did get to shift to working on the IBC spec. How did that relationship begin? Dean, were you involved from day one? Is this something that people asked you to get involved with? Is this something that you were proactively getting involved with? What was the beginning of that relationship with you and IBC like?
As Zucky tells us, we were involved since before day one, which is to say, we've been doing distributed system stuff, myself, Markham, a few others here at Agoric, for a long time. And they were looking for solutions to some problems and stumbled upon some of the sites that talked about our work back from, the 90s or the 2000s or whatever I think it was. And went, problems, they've thought about these. So we can focus on getting a chain out and then come back and solve these set of problems. And we were working on starting to work on the Agoric chain, where we were building our interchain distributed protocol stuff. And we met at there was a powwow at, I think, the first of Interchain conversations in Berlin.
That's right. Where basically,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, team.
No,
but I want to give credit where credit is due. Where basically, all of the 25 to 30-year-olds working at AIB said, "Oh, we have all these cool ideas. What do you think about them?" And Agoric said, "Oh, we tried this 20 years ago and it doesn't work." And we're like, "Oh." But then they were right. So they said, "Oh, you should do this thing instead." We're like, that makes a surprising amount of sense. Let's do that. And then that amalgamation of blockchains plus solid distributed systems reasoning became IBC.
Yeah, and it really was a synthesis, because what we had is this powwow where, we were doing a chain, we were doing distributed protocol to be able to have our client talk to the chain and be able to have multiple chains talking to each other and so forth. IBC, Cosmos had the vision of, the interchain. They had articulated this interchain vision. They were working on it, and there was sort of a clear alignment of a bunch of these things. But we really wanted to dig into the technical details to see whether all of the features that we needed were going to be in IBC, and the timing would work out, and to have the performance, and and that the IBC team would actually get something of value from talking to us. And the thing that I was really delighted by is Chris, as you saw here, really liked what we brought to the table in terms of thinking about the distributed system thing. And from the other side, to us, IBC had already, they thought through a bunch of these best practices of how to have one chain figure out whether it could believe another, and how to set it up securely, and how to do the validation of the like lines, and all these things that they were not in the rest of our picture. And so putting those two together, the IBC is really a successful merging of those two streams of development in a way that really did bring us the best of both worlds. So I'm really excited about it.
And Sean, you've sort of joined the most recent to the sort of IBC effort, but you're working on some of the most sort of advanced and exciting aspects of it. How has that sort of transition been for you? You joined the Cosmos. Tell us a bit about that process.
It's been interesting to play catch up for the past year and a half, where most of the design was done in this 2-year sprint. I think they spent 35 hours in the same room as each other during the interchain conversations, right? Like everyone smelt the same at the same point, and out of that came sort of like this tribal domain knowledge. Like, oh yeah, the light client and like backward verification, right? And all these things that have very complicated implications, which are never discussed because everything that was like inside the room took like.
I wrote a spec. What are you talking about?
No, it's well understood. It's well the relayer. We all know how that works, right? So it was this really fun process of working with Dean and Chris, and most importantly, Anka Zemfir, who couldn't make it today, but is probably the best representation of Informal's contribution to IBC. So working with her, trying to bring it, let's say, to like production grade, from rough idea on a whiteboard in Berlin and marker that will never be removed. So in some ways it's permanent, right? But in other ways it's completely ephemeral. And trying to make it real. So I think we've made good progress there. IBC is ready. It's been running, I guess what we could call a stable, but it is really just really the start. We're really at almost like a new day zero and now, and we anticipate that what will come next will probably be nothing like what came before.
We've been building this thing for the last year or whatever, or kibitzing on other people building these things, depending on which person in the room you are. And it still was only as we were heading into this Stargate release that and starting from the demo day in January, actually, where there were multiple applications that were like Agoric. We'll be launching a new chain. Unlike everything prior to basically today, we won't be launching in a vacuum. We will be launching connected to liquidity pools, connected to services, connected to the hub, connected to Cosmos, Celo, connected to ETH. And we get connected to ETH because somebody stood up a zone that provided that service, and we can get access to it. And if they go down, well, you know what? Somebody else stood up one too, and we can connect to them instead, right? And so just this, it's like suddenly we went from having data centers to having the internet, right? So tomorrow is the interchain, which we just didn't have yesterday. And that's really a sea change. A year ago, people would kind of go, yeah, interop will be interesting someday. And now we just saw lots of demos of things that just like, yep, once I'm connected, I can do all this awesome stuff, right? And so there's this pent up demand that suddenly, we're going to, drop the crystal in and boom, it all takes off. So very excited about this.
So early on, when Cosmos white paper was being written, and this idea of Internet of Blockchains seemed possible, but the actual implementation or how we're going to get there was still unclear. I think the minimum bar was like, we'll figure out token transfers. Maybe we'll figure out arbitrary data. And then, through the process, it seemed like actually this is really possible to be really flexible. We can actually do so much. I'd be curious, like when, or if it was, maybe it was that session at Berlin Hackathon where the spec transitioned from like, at a minimum, we'll be able to do this to like, oh my gosh, we can do this full, huge and exciting range of things and we can actually do it. It's not like a hope anymore. I see the path. Was that in the—
That's a good question. Well, credit where credit is due. The original impetus for IBC came from the, of course, Cosmos white paper written by Jay and Becky. And I even believe that, according to some conversations I had with Jay, there were even earlier conversations Jay had with some awesome guy in Noisebridge, San Francisco, that led Jay to think of some of the initial concepts for IBC. So the ideological genealogy is quite deep here. However, the version of IBC discussed in the Cosmos paper does focus much more on token transfers, and it doesn't have any of the sort of handshake setup or dynamic a dynamic connection channel and client handling that the version of IBC we've implemented in production ended up with. Probably there are a few factors. The people involved in the design of IBC, such as myself, have an aesthetic preference for protocols which solve all the possible problems that is possible to solve with a particular class of protocol at once, which is only true because we are very lazy, and I don't want to write something twice. So if we can only write something once and then like lots of people can implement it and it will solve many problems, that's nice. I really think that design session, 35 hours is, I mean, it wasn't quite 35 hours, but
yeah, that really made
there were 2 solid days in a barely aerated room in kind of hot Berlin in the summer, which at the time was intense but enjoyable. Now, of course, it seems like a dream of a past long forgotten pre-coronavirus times.
So the other thing the other big transition period was the review. Right. So Chris has done an awesome job driving the standard. Right. And then we had to review it. And it was one of those things where, okay, it's going to take a couple of days to review it. Just like, no, it's not going to take a couple of days to review it.
That's right.
That was one where it sort of started. It's just like, right, this isn't going to work. We trotted out a review process we'd used for specification documents in previous, in previous lives at Agoric. And the whole gang went through this process of capturing all the comments and then capturing responses to them and revisiting and making sure that we agreed with the results of the responses and applying the changes. And so that's where I first got to really, work with Anka, for example, that Sean mentioned. And she, and just the different people that came in with thoughtful comments about how this stuff would work, that gets like, oh, that's what they were thinking, or that's what they needed, or there's a problem that's niggling at them, and it finally crystallized here, or stuff like that. So the transition from coming together with a coherent design that we thought could do all of these things to reviewing an actual design, going, yeah, I can do it, except for this gap, and we need to work that out. And that took another 9 months instead of the 3 weeks it was allotted to that sort of thing. But those were. But that was just a huge, reality check of, yep, this is a real protocol. This can really work.
I'd also like to specifically call out to the audit which Informal performed in conjunction with Interchain GmbH in fall 2020, which was the most intensive, frankly, audit any part of the Cosmos software stack has ever seen, which is awesome that it happened for IBC, and it's happened for everything, but we'll get there. And that resulted in, it was a very close collaboration between Informal and IG. Informal looked over the spec, looked over the code, found a bunch of discrepancies, nothing, much more in terms of things we needed to fix, and like minor bits about the protocol that needed to change than like, we didn't change any core design at that point, but it was absolutely essential for ensuring that what we're launching is as safe as we can make it. And we did, during that process, we had really just fantastic collaboration with Informal, with all the people at Informal who are looking over the spec, thinking about it from the perspective of Tendermint, from the perspective of outsiders who, are not going to make the same mistakes by accident that we made since we wrote the spec and then implemented it. That kind of reality check was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, it was great to sort of have our team really dig into it. And actually, even though there were some issues, there was a shocking few, considering how deep and how thorough and how, let's say, unproven it was at the time. It seemed like 99.99% of the stuff was where it needed to be. And it also gave us an opportunity to start, expanding the field of human capital working on the spec. Maybe so far it's been people mostly on this in the chat or even on this call, but the next generation of IBC, when it really does become the internet, is going to be a far larger group of contributors. So it was the first step in sort of devoting ourselves as a community to expanding the range of human capital that can be productive in IBC.
Sean, I remember, you were maybe one of the first users who really onboarded IBC once it was kind of at a finished state. I imagine that this was sort of in parallel with the informal, with the audit, and maybe there's some changes. But I remember, seeing you in the office one day, and you were, also still relatively new to Rust. I think this came with the idea of building IBC in Rust, and it felt a little bit. You looked like had the Neo look in your eyes, in Matrix. You're like, I know jujitsu. I know how IBC works.
Well, I think that, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can you talk about that? Was that a moment for you where it clicked, or you realized how flexible or how powerful it was? And if not, when was that moment, or has that moment come yet?
I think the first moment that I had that you saw in my eyes is I sort of was able to do the chain of trust that this actual thing is secure or whatever, because we talk about it in terms of channels and packets and all these constructions, but these constructions actually serve a purpose, to sort of amortize verification costs or whatever, and being able to understand that took a little while, and I think Gautier's effort to sort of provide a new representation of what IBC is beyond just specification is going to be absolutely critical to its success. So for me, I really had to let's say not go easy on Chris, and he was of course incredibly generous, spending time with us, and he's always been generous. But obviously, we need that process to scale. We need more people who have that sort of Neo moment. So as the spec right now is quite a technical document, but at Informal, we're quite committed to sort of stewarding the specification to a much larger audience, and that means not just having a technical doc for people that have been working on it for a year, but having sort of an English version that sort of onboards new users. It also involves making the spec not just something to be read by and understood by people, but something to be understood by computers. So all of it is going to be spec'd in TLA and provide sort of the developer experience that we anticipate is one that people building on IBC will get sort of test vectors for free. So essentially, as you implement your extension or your version or implementation or whatever, you could sort of assert conformance with the specification pretty much from day zero, and sort of lining that up with the onboarding story is what we really believe is going to drive a sort of Cambrian explosion of use cases for IBC.
Yeah, I saw a demo yesterday from Starport team at Tendermint, and I don't know if this is meant to be public yet, but thought it was really exciting. They basically set up a command. So if you're familiar with the Starport command line tool, it helps scaffold cosmos-sdk chains. And there's a command to sort of build up a basic chain, and there's a command to instantiate a new module. And then you can start adding things to those new modules, similar to sort of scaffolding tools that are available for Ruby on Rails. So you will add a type, and that type, gives you create, read, update, delete sort of functionality for that type. Well, they have a new command for building a module, which is IBC ready. So it imports all of the base constructions for an IBC module. And instead of putting the logic inside of the handler to handle a message, you start putting the logic in the on received sort of method of the actual sort of IBC protocol. So it's a scaffold for brand new IBC modules. And I was immediately like, oh my God, is this going to be chaos? We're going to have tons of new IBC modules before the ICS specs for all these application layers sort of get built out. Is this good? Is this bad? And then it made me also think about interchain accounts and how kind of the point of interchain accounts is to give a one common interface for any message type to come through. Do you guys think that we'll see the growth of ICS standards for every single application, having every single message define its own, or more like interchain accounts where we just have a common interface that we try to shove all the messages through?
So, well, go ahead, Chris.
Take it away.
Okay, so a fundamental element of the design of IBC is these separate layers. I will, what Chris Goes referred to as the Tao of IBC, right? The transport, authentication, and ordering. That's most of the spec. And it's because that was done right and bakes in everything we need that we can build application layer protocols easily. And so the interchain accounts is an application level protocol, transfer is an application level protocol. There will be NFT transfer. The power of IBC is partly we can get connected. We can, it's easy to integrate into all these other chains, but every zone that Stargate enabled is sort of ready to talk IBC. But I believe there will be a lot of application protocols that people will build, not ideally not very, very customized, but it's the same way there's a lot of IP protocols, TCP IP protocols that people build. Some of them are great, send a JSON blob across and you can do that over IBC, but a lot of them are very structured in order to serve some application purpose, but it can be used by multiple parties, right? There'll be, social messaging protocols and, article news distribution protocols and stuff like that, where the more reusable they are, the better, but there's no reason to just have it be some very unstructured thing.
Chris,
yeah, first, I'm thrilled that the wonderful thing and magical thing about working on a protocol which has a spec and then becomes slowly disseminated across the wider ecosystem of IBC neophytes or IBC neo moments is that things start happening involving this protocol you wrote that have are completely outside of your control. I go to sleep in Berlin and I wake up and now I hear about this like magical way to launch new IBC modules, which I had nothing to do with. I didn't even know about it. Initially you work on a protocol and it's like nothing happens unless you do it. I wish the IBC spec would just magically fix itself at night when I went to sleep and I wouldn't have to go think about it again in the morning. But for a long time, that definitely didn't happen. But now we're at the stage where, I stay up too late and get too little sleep before coming to this call, but then wake up and all of this has magically occurred. I mean, I think that there will be plenty of reasons to experiment with application modules before writing specs. You can start using IBC in a very, sort of low value or prototype friendly context in some kind of testnet or pseudo testnet zone. There's probably a lot of space on the spectrum between testnet and mainnet where these kinds of things could be played around with. And then standards can emerge and be agreed upon once.
Chris, I gotta cut you off. We're about to end. I just wanted to have Sean see really quickly if you want to say anything, or if we're gonna get cut off, well, all we can say is thank you and goodbye.
I don't think we know all the ways that people are going to use IBC, and I think that's the point. We want to sort of lower the cost of innovation and of coordination. So the fact that people are doing things that we don't know is a good sign that we're succeeding.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Let's end it on that. You all, thank you so much for your time. Keep an eye out for the upgrade and keep an eye out for what's next.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Chacho.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
How's it going? Nice to see you again, David. Nice to see you always, Doge Mouse. Josh.
Hi, Billy. You changed a lot.
I know. I've really been inspired by this upgrade, and I'm feeling it internally and externally.
Man, I can definitely see that.
I saw Sunny on here for a second. Is he supposed to be on this or no?
Sunny's here.
There he is. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
I like your sweatshirt.
Thank you.
I think that was hanging in the full node office for like a year, or at least the clone was.
Yeah, I think I actually have like a
couple of these. I may have, slowly taken more and more at different conferences over the years.
Accumulated them. I like to hear it. Thanks for joining, everybody. Today's topic, or this session's topic, is Interchain Wallet and AMM Laboratory. And the first one is introducing the Interchain Wallet. I'm not sure if this is a structured presentation session or if I'm just supposed to ask you all questions. Do we have a format in mind?
Ideally,
Cool.
questions. It's 10 minutes.
All right, great. So,
20
David,
minutes.
you work on Cosmos Station, the premier mobile wallet, and the Cosmos Space, open source, fantastic product. Josh, you work on Kepler, the premier browser extension wallet, open source, fantastic product. Sika, you bother us all with your requests to have the wallets talk to the delegators from the validators. Actually, that came up on an earlier call with David, the idea that should validators be more in communication with their delegators. And it reminded me that you were handing out Sika coins to anyone who could prove that they were a delegator of yours. I'm trying to spin that question into relevance to interchain wallets. Maybe that's how we can phrase it. Is the future of wallets community-based? Is it about people having access and feeling like they're part of a validator, feeling like they're part of a community? Is it about wallets that have chat, the way we've seen with status? Wallets can, they're really applications. And, key management is, I think, getting more and more abstracted from the wallet. And it's about providing a cool application interface. And, all blockchains have the same application feature of tokens, but more and more blockchains have unique application features. And it's often the role of the wallet to sort of become that interface. I think we're seeing diverging paradigms where you've got independent applications that interface with wallets, and you've got wallets who, try to deliver the full end-to-end experience. But where do you see the user's relationship to wallets falling into this scheme? Maybe let's kick off with David.
So I think it is important for wallet interfaces to communicate with our users actively and let them know what is going on the hub and what types of functionalities they can have access to. And I think it's really important for us as infrastructure providers to provide a seamless experience that to the extent that users don't even necessarily have to know that they're using inter-blockchain communication. So we just want to keep the user flow, user experience as normal as possible, so that the user won't be faced with the new experience.
Josh, how do you feel about that? Where do you think Kepler stands in that spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I think, for users to interact with blockchains, like the best scenario is for there to be no wallets and users can just talk to blockchains. But we know that's not feasible. So I think from our perspective, I think like the wallet's functionality is just kind of being this like middle infrastructure that allows you for blockchain developers to allow users to use it however they want, and for users to kind of be able to kind of like have a flexible way of accessing different methods of signing and interacting with the blockchain. So yeah, for us, it's all about modularity, flexibility, and providing that option for the user.
So, I mean, Sunny, you're a wallet user at least, right? Where do you see your relationship to wallets going?
Yeah, one of the things I'd really like to see, especially, is like within a lot of the existing wallets, within the Cosmos wallets, like there's a switching period between I'm in the Cosmos Hub section of the wallet, then I go switch to my address on the Kava section of the wallet, then I have to go switch, and it just feels like this very disjointed experience to me, where interacting with each chain, and I'd like to see some have that experience come more seamlessly, where I don't need to think about which chain I'm interacting with. I want my many different addresses on different chains to still show up to me as a single account, and that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. As the interchain becomes, because right now it's maybe it's okay that wallets have been able to get away with it because tokens have been isolated on different chains, but once I have atoms on the Kava chain and the Cosmos chain and the Akash chain, then it's like, well, I don't want to have to see where my atoms are on like 3 different accounts. I want that all to be in one place for me.
I mean, some people would say that this is a feature of wallets often, is that they have really different identities attached to different keys and that they want those things separated. I might suggest that the reason for that is perhaps nefarious, or this sort of idea that like, maybe it's a privacy, maybe not nefarious, but the idea of privacy, and privacy can be used for, you know, because it's a right, or privacy can be used because you're doing something illegal. Do you think that this is a distinction?
I think this is a wallet UX level thing. I'm saying. I'm not saying that, you know, the accounts have to be all using the same private key or, you know, the same address on all the chains. I'm just saying that I want in my wallet, I should, you know, to an external observer, they can see them as distinct, but in my wallet, I want to see that interface.
Totally. And I mean, I'm just trying to understand. I think I would at the same time as well want everything sort of, you are Billy, here's everything that you have, regardless of which key it came from. But I think that we do have some people who use that to date for mental distinction. They actually want to switch views and feel like, okay, now I'm in my like anonymous crypto mode. Okay, now I'm in my like public, I have a public ENS name attached to this account. So I act differently with this key and things like that. Do you think that there's other ways to preserve that distinction while still unifying a single identity?
Yeah, sure. I think you can still have different profiles in a wallet. And so right now, basically, the profiles and addresses are one-to-one. But I think maybe, you know, I could have public Sunny profile, which has like these addresses in it. And then I have its different, you know, Sunny anonymous profile that has a different set of addresses attached to it.
David, how do you feel about those distinctions, the way Cosmos Station does it now, the way Cosmos Station might do it in the future? Do you feel like this is a priority? Or I mean, there's a million things that wallets could be working on improving. Where do you think this stacks on that priority list?
We've actually been thinking about that a lot internally, because once IBC comes out, all these networks are going to be connected. The tokens are going to be flowing in and out of each other. So it would be best if so currently, when you turn on the mobile wallet, you can import different mnemonic phrases for different networks on our iOS Android wallets. So what we're trying to do is just zoom out a little bit and then make it look like a multi-wallet, so that it's kind of like ERC20s and Ethereum, so that users can more easily interact with each blockchain and also feel like they're acting with one account, just like Sunny said. But we could also have different profiles, and yeah, we're planning on changing all of that, and we're still discussing a lot of the things. But yeah, definitely something that we think is a priority in the UX side.
Josh, where does it stack on Kepler? Is this something you guys are thinking about actively, something that you actually disagree with? Where does it stack up if you are thinking about it?
Yeah, I think ultimately that's the direction that we're going, but I think we're not at that stage yet. So for us, I think the emphasis is just giving options for users to do whatever they want to in the way that they want to. And I think the important part here is for us to kind of observe what the user pattern is like, have user feedback. You know, are users, you know, using the interchain in the way that we expected it? I think the worst scenario could be where we design a framework of like user interactions and then turn out that was wrong. So I think right now it's a little bit messy. I think it's cluttered, less than optimal. But I think we always kind of should take an iterative approach rather than kind of trying to predict the future and turn out to be wrong. So that's kind of where we are.
So Chainaps is involved, as well as Sunny, I think, with this project Osmosis, right?
Yes.
Are you involved in it too, David? I don't even know who's involved with Osmosis.
I'm not involved, but yeah.
Cool. Maybe we can, I mean, so this session is meant to be 2 parts. The first one about Interchain Wallet, and the second one a little bit more specific about Osmosis. But maybe we can use it as a sort of bridge between the topics. So Osmosis is a blockchain, an application. It's being co-developed by some of the creators of the Kepler wallet. Does Kepler plan on providing an actual application interface for Osmosis? Is there going to be a separate application? Kepler is sort of great in that it's a bit like MetaMask, and that you can kind of inject access to it into a website. Is that the method that you're going to be taking? Because the alternative, which I think Cosmos Station has really excelled at, is having like a fully integrated interface for every app as possible. That provides a really high user experience, but is a lot of development requirements. Since you guys are, partially the developers of Osmosis, will you be providing like fully integrated, or is there going to be an abstraction and separation between the app and the wallet?
I think at the early stage, our plan is to kind of abstract and separate the two, because I think it makes sense that the wallet layer remains neutral to kind of, what the user can and cannot access. And for us, I think Osmosis, being such an early project, at least, it's not even there yet right now. I think the interaction is going to look like any other wallet interactions with AMM. So you will have to connect your wallet. It probably won't be integrated into Kepler. But I think as liquidity matures, there's significant volume, and we see some of the kind of key players emerge. I think the most optimal way of moving forward might be just to do an aggregator route or some type of router, rather than just say, hey, if you're using Kepler, Osmosis is only AMM that you can reach. But kind of leveraging the variety of AMMs and tools that exist, so that users kind of get the benefit of the best price out of all the options.
Maybe we can zoom out for a bit. Sunny, can you tell us what Osmosis is?
Yeah, sure. Osmosis is the AMM laboratory. So what that means is, I think AMMs and, bonding curves and all these things have been like, seen a lot of development in the last couple, years, especially in the last, 1 year, especially. And I think that it's like super exciting, but I think that there's so much more to go. And the goal of Osmosis is basically to provide the tools to developers to basically be able to create their own custom AMMs that are more powerful than any existing ones today. So, unlike existing AMMs where you're like, okay, you can do constant product or constant sum. No, we want to allow people to experiment. You can type in a math equation and it will spin up a new AMM curve. And so, you can take it, you can have AMMs that take into account volatility index, time, some sort of, rolling system. I think, the goal is to build a laboratory where people can start experimenting and building, the best possible AMMs, and basically build the best AMM system for the interchain possible.
And I guess I could, to add to that, I think like the key point of like Osmosis is that like we don't think there is one single, the best like AMM model for all asset types. And I think, efficiency and the optimal point exists when there's competition, different models that kind of compete and harmonize amongst each other. And I think that's kind of the overarching goal of Osmosis, is to provide that like infrastructural layer for a lot of this like AMM diversity and experimentation to happen, and from the user's perspective, kind of benefit from all this competition and experimentation.
I mean, would you all say though that an imperfect AMM with a lot of liquidity is better than a perfect AMM with not enough liquidity? And if you create a place for a huge variety of AMMs, that it's unlikely that any one will necessarily have the bulk, or I mean, maybe ideally the best one will win ahead, but there's other things which could result to high liquidity that's not necessarily the best design. Is there anything about the way Osmosis is created to try to mitigate that, or is that a feature that you want?
Yeah, so Osmosis actually has governance for LPs built in. So instead of every time a new AMM model is invented, we have to, go spin up a new pool and split the liquidity. You're actually able to, pools are able to upgrade themselves and like keep up with the cutting edge and not, without splitting liquidity constantly. And so this will help resolve some of this problem. And, we also, like I said, I think with like new AMM designs, like, currently we think AMMs can only be based off of the pricing curve system can only be based off of the quantity of tokens in the AMM. And like that basically makes it such that like there is a 1-to-1 ratio of like efficiency of the AMM with liquidity in the AMM. But I think with new models of AMMs, that's not necessarily going to be true.
Anybody else have a comment on liquidity versus variety? All right, then let's go to the project itself. What is it like launching a new blockchain in Cosmos today? What are the considerations? How are you thinking about validator sets? How are you thinking about token distribution? I think a lot of people in this DGen chat over here smell blood around a token drop. Do you guys want to talk about that?
What I will say is that we have a copy of the final Genesis file, or not Genesis file, the final export file of the Cosmos Hub 3. And so, everyone who is a believer in the Cosmos, pre-Stargate, we really love these people. And, more information will be coming out in, coming days. And so, people should, follow the Osmosis Zone Twitter account and, look for information there.
Osmosis Zone Twitter account. Isn't the website also osmosis.zone?
Correct.
All of you domain squatters out there, there is a .zone TLD. Get out there and buy up all of the future Cosmos projects, because this is a really great domain name for anybody who's building in Cosmos. .zone. So what do you consider for like actual product launch of these things, without giving us timelines or anything like that? Like, what are the pieces you have to put into place? It's building the SDK. It's also designing the token. So you made this Genesis file that's probably a combination of the Cosmos export. Maybe there's a huge pre-mine for yourselves because that's how you roll. Is it also a front end? Like, are you expecting other people to do the front end? Do you launch protocol first? Are you trying to make this a full-fledged product? I think we saw this website, which looks really great, has this really cool branding, but is that going to go forward? Are you looking for further collaborators? What are the steps to launch a zone?
So yeah, we're working, obviously working on the chain code. That's like obviously the most important, making sure that's well written and secure and like audited and all that. When it comes to like front end, we're writing a very early MVP front end, but our goal is that like making the integrations into this thing as easy as possible, because we don't want to, ideally we don't want to be the primary front end. We want to let people who are really good, even today, think about it on Uniswap. I think most people do not interact with Uniswap through the Uniswap.exchange front end. I think most people, there's better people who've come up with front ends, whether it's from Zapper or from 1inch or all these better front ends. And so I think really we're going to see a mass proliferation of front ends that people can start to interact with. And then we're communicating information about the Genesis, getting people involved, building up the community. I mean, so technically we weren't supposed to announce the project until today, but it seems people have already found the GitHub and have found information about it. So, but hopefully we're going to start putting together, inviting people into the community channel. This is meant to be a community-run project. It is completely fair launch. There's no token sale or anything like that. And it's really, the token is meant to be distributed, to people who contribute value to the network, whether it's through liquidity, development, staking, any of these kind of
we're
value.
at 1 minute, and I'm going to have to shut off in just a second and switch to the next one. I want to ask David, as one of the sort of most integrated wallets with application interfaces, do you think you'll build an interface for Osmosis?
We're definitely thinking about integrating Osmosis. I've talked with Sunny and Dozmos about this, so yeah.
Awesome.
We're thinking about integrating an aggregator in our wallet too, once a lot of AMMs come out in our wallet. So.
This is a really exciting economic model that we've seen MetaMask push forward. Okay, I have to drop off. We're jumping to the next session. Thanks again, you all, for joining, and I'll see you in the Cosmos.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Please getting invited up now.
All right. Hello, cosmonauts.
Hello there.
It's great to be here, and we're being joined by the moon.
Hello. I know that some of you guys are still in darkness, right? It's nighttime somewhere in the world.
It is 2:49 in the AM where I am.
So I fit in perfectly with your setting. It's getting bright here in Europe time zone. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. So this session is Stargate upgrade, developments and challenges. Maybe we do a quick round of introductions. Start kind of clockwise from my screen. Alessio, welcome. Who are you, Alessio? What are you doing here?
Well, I'm still in the process to remember correctly. Just woke up. But I'm currently trying to give support to those who are having problems with various things and cosmos-sdk and Gaia. But mostly trying to build a secure and safe SDK for Gaia and other applications.
Love it.
So Tendermint, leading engineering here.
And you're at Tendermint Inc., right?
Yes.
This is another required part of an introduction. Gregory, who are you? What are you doing?
My name's Gregory Landaway. I'm one of the co-founders at Regen Network, and our amazing engineering team helped build the 040 release of the Cosmos SDK and the last 2 point releases. And I've had the honor of being able to sort of moonlight as an engineering team member from time to time. And I was also the one that they convinced to get up in the middle of the night to work with everybody.
Thank you very much. And Tess Reinierson, who are you? What are you doing here?
Hi. Yeah, my name is Tess. I work on Tendermint Core, but not at Tendermint Inc. actually, but on Tendermint Core at Interchain GmbH here in Berlin. So the sun is coming up. I will say, like Alessio and I actually both were up quite late last night, tightening the bolts on everything ahead of the release. And so I think we're both a little bit like, whoa, this morning. But no, I'm super excited to see everything coming together.
So that sounds like a challenge, staying up late, being on call on weekends. What is it like to build software that has such live requirements? Alessio, you want to start that off?
It takes some energy, I would say, but it's fun. It's definitely fun, especially when last minute, when the release is out and you are notified about some security related issue that you need to fix because you have to fix it, and you'd have to delay a flight, perhaps. Actually, that happened for you, but it's fun.
You were going to fly today.
Should we just mention briefly like what we were up to and like why there's like another release of Gaia out last night and all that? So so because I know there's probably questions about why the commit hash changed again or whatever. But basically, last night we were notified that sometimes if you were using the on file PV private validator implementation, sometimes that would be logged. Sometimes your private key material would end up in your logs, which obviously is pretty bad because people don't treat their logs necessarily as highly sensitive material, but that is very sensitive material. Again, this would only happen if you're using the sort of local private validator implementation. So if you're using a remote signer or something, that is higher security, which frankly is what we recommend and what we ask you do in production. But we know some people may not be doing that. It could log your private keys to your terminal or to your log host or whatever. So that was a pretty scary thing to discover. Fortunately, really easy, tiny fix. The root cause is this discrepancy in the logging libraries between Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK. So if you were just using Tendermint, it was fine. If you're using the SDK without Tendermint, that would also be fine. But it was sort of this discrepancy between the two logging libraries that caused this. Anyway, tiny fix. Started getting it shipped, and then when we were cutting the releases, we got kicked again because Go put out a new release earlier this week. A bunch of the tooling changed in some of the tools and systems that we rely on, and we had to then go in and fix all of that stuff up too. So it was a little bit of a late night. Well, it was a very late night. A little bit of a stressful situation given all the timing, but again, really tiny fix. We have a ton of confidence in these releases. They were tested really thoroughly, and And yeah, Alessio and I are here as zombies among men this morning to tell you about the development process.
So you're pulling. I can't really speak correctly, but yeah, and then there were a couple of funny events that forced us to release the Tendermint like to make like 2 or 3 releases straight.
Yeah.
And recalling this release, it was at some point it was becoming funnier than what we had expected.
And it was night. It was definitely night.
Greggy, you're kind of like in emergency mode right now since you're up at 3 a.m. for something. What was the last time that you were involved in a sort of like, oh no, everybody needs to get all hands on deck? Was it the last upgrade? Was there something in between? Was it a security release, a bug that was found?
Well, you know, it's been, for me recently, it's been around the test nets that are happening both in the lead up to the hub upgrade as well as at Regen Network. We're in our final test nets for leading up to mainnet launch. And there's oftentimes this sort of, you know, the social coordination element, both of having multiple teams working on the code, but also having a big validator community working and people needing to figure out docs and people checking to make sure that it's the right binary that's going to be launched. And it oftentimes comes to these moments where you really just have to have a committed core group of people who are willing to just sort of go through and burn the midnight oil and just make sure it all happens and then push it out to the community. And you know, it's not irregular. It seems to happen, you know, every now and again. I am optimistic though that it seems, well, I mean, I'm kind of laughing. Maybe this won't be true, but I guess there's this dream maybe that some of this fun will be taken away from us when CosmWasm and the upgrade module are live on post this upgrade. And you know, maybe that'll make all of this smoother, and there won't be such a sort of midnight hustle element to things. And I don't know. I'd ask Alessio and Tess, does that make you guys feel happy or sad?
No, come on. It takes all the fun off of it. No. I want to wake up in the middle of the night. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not an engineer anymore.
I can't totally tell how much you're joking, but I mean, I do actually think a little bit like, because we have such a decentralized community, because we have this decentralized development model, it actually is nice to have these touch points where we actually do need to come back together and, you know, hop in Discord together, or hop in Slack together, and really coordinate on something and work together. And you know, it was like I said, last night was kind of late night, a little bit stressful, but it was really nice to be talking with people, you know, from all the development teams and coordinating really closely on how we were going to get these releases out, you know, at this critical time. And so yeah, I do like those very close collaborative moments, even if they happen at 3 a.m.
And then it's a good opportunity to you know, take your eyes off the Cosmos Atom price chart, you know, for a change. Okay, let me do something.
Yeah, I was saying on one of the earlier calls, you know, enjoy this. It might be one of the last times that there's such a all hands on deck, everybody who's doing what, everything happening at the same time. But I mean, you know, there's a few bumps on the road to this upgrade already. You know, the idea that we found a bug in the earlier release. We had to delay the upgrade. And I mean, you know, the upgrade is happening right now, but if something goes wrong, like that's very much a chance. You know, how do you balance the demand, the expectation, the desire to like go live as soon as possible with the sort of, you know, good measured will and safety that is required in producing quality software? Gregory, you're smiling. Can I speak to that first, or Tess?
Well, I mean, I'm always the guy who's like, we can do it faster. We can ship this. Come on, guys. But no, I mean, I think there's really I mean, one thing that I've been noticing, this is sort of a roundabout way of answering your question, but there's one thing that I've been noticing is there's something really powerful and engaging about the way things happen in the Cosmos community, and it's very sort of collaborative, and it's very emergent, and there's something kind of it's very fulfilling. You know, it's very fulfilling to be working with people from all around the world, collaborating on stuff that's mutually important, that we're all, that's securing so many different dreams in this sort of post IBC world. And the urgency that people feel to ship and to create is, you know, I mean, it's very compelling. And yeah, I'm super grateful to be part of that. You know, I oftentimes I get off these calls and coordination moments, and I just sort of reflect to myself that it's a pretty astounding and amazing thing to have so many people from all over the world in different companies, completely different companies, having such deep collaboration and cooperation. And it's kind of a miracle that given all that complexity and decentralization, we actually do manage to synchronize in such a beautiful way. I remember watching Tess's presentation about how, you know, what it's looking like to stabilize Tendermint core as a consistent engine for the whole community, and how resonant that was with what Aaron, our CTO, was presenting about getting a stable SDK. And so anyway, it's interesting. And that's kind of oblique way of talking about the relationship between urgency and shipping, but hopefully it's kind of getting to the heart of your question.
I mean, you might say that you're the gas. Tess, would you say you're the brakes?
Yes. So I think there are times when, you know, like Gregory said, there's a huge amount of alignment and everyone's really like on the same page. And, you know, when Aaron gave his presentation, I had this feeling like, did you like we did not coordinate that, but we were saying the same thing. I think there are also times when everyone plays a little bit of a different role, and they have, you know, people have a responsibility to like counterbalance each other. And, you know, I think I am often, you know, I guess like a more conservative voice of the community when it comes to taking things slowly, making sure we're getting them done right, doing a lot of testing, really focusing on things like stability and correctness. But, you know, I wouldn't be able to be that person or need to be that person if there weren't also other, you know, amazing people who were really pushing the community and these projects to go as fast as possible and be as cutting edge as possible. So I think it is all about people, you know, finding the places where they, you know, playing these different roles and counterbalancing each other and bringing a diversity of values to the ecosystem.
So we've got 1 minute left. Alessio, do you have anything to add there? Do you think you're gas brakes, or are you right in the middle?
No, I think Greg and Tessa covered it completely. And yes, I think we did an amazing effort over the last, say, 8 months, both in testing and focusing on we put the clients first. We did work for the Cosmos SDK community at large by, for instance, developing and maintaining a Launchpad, and which was the smooth upgrade path to Stargate. So I think we did quite a good work. We will try to do even better next round, but quite happy about how things went, to be honest.
Cool. Well, I'm going to drop off to the next session. Thanks you all for joining me. See you online.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Is Billy around? All I can see is this presentation, so I don't know if there's anyone else here. Okay, he'll be joining soon.
Hi, let's do it.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Thanks for staying up all night if you're in the US or Canada, like I am. It's 3 a.m. here, but I took a nap, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice. It's early morning here. I'm feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. The birds are coming out.
Nice. So we've got about 15 minutes here. I want to do a quick lightning presentation with the two of you guys on how far we've grown as a network since Cosmos Hub 3. I would have liked to have some metrics for Hub 2 and Hub 1, but we don't really have a lot of metrics all the way back then. So let's just start from Hub 3 and see what has happened. All right, so we'll have Jack present the first part. So what's changed since Cosmos Hub 2? Or what's changed since?
Yeah, well, thanks, Pug. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? My bandwidth might be terrible.
Loud and clear.
There's a few major things that have changed. Obviously, first and foremost, IBC, which I think we've heard a lot about on this chat here. One of the ones that was actually the most work, but is probably the least understood, is the protobuf migration. And really, what this means is much more full-featured client applications. So when you think about wallets and explorers and all of those type of pieces of infrastructure, they're going to be much easier to build because there's going to be a native encoding format that those JavaScript developers can consume. I think one of the things that we've always really tried to do is build really nice developer experiences, and that protobuf migration is part of that. Another nice developer experience for like a different set of developers would be state sync. And this is, along with the upgrade module, one of the many sort of really nice to haves for node operators. And I think those are kind of the big items that landed in this last upgrade that make Stargate what it is, and we're really excited about it. I still got to bring my node up. I'm like troubleshooting in the back here.
All right, so aside from the technical upgrades, right, as well, what's happened in terms of community growth and ecosystem growth, right? I think the last chain upgrade was roughly 400 days ago. The atom price was around $4, and the market cap was under $1 billion, right? But then we've also have some stats, right, from our Cosmos Twitter handle, right? These numbers don't mean a lot right now, right? Over the course of the month of the last chain upgrade, we had under 1 million, tweet impressions, 12,000 profile views, about 4K mentions, and about 400 followers. I don't think we had that many followers back then on the Cosmos handle. I don't know the number out of the top of my head, but let's see what is happening this time around, right? So today's chain upgrade, right? So we've gained a +1 on the chain ID. The atom price has increased by 500% since the last upgrade, right? The market cap's increased by more than that due to the inflation amount on a yearly basis, right? And really significantly, some of the stats on the Cosmos handle have vastly increased since then. Our impressions have almost doubled. We have almost nearly 20x increase in profile visits compared to last time around, right? That's 20x. Our mentions have doubled, and then we have, like almost 30 times more followers this past 30 days compared to last time around. So, what's going to happen with Cosmos Hub 5? I don't know, but it's likely going to be much higher than this.
2,642%. You don't see percentages in the thousands very often.
No, you don't. I've been watching the follower account for Cosmos, and we're getting thousands of followers every couple of days.
In blockchains, we do see these kind of numbers sometimes, but they're wild to say.
I'd like to see is there like an index market cap for crypto? How would you do that? Like the top 100 coins, how have they changed since 2019 December compared to us?
Yeah, I don't have those numbers, but we have some other numbers, some more specific ones.
Well, off the top of my head, Billy, as far as that goes, I think we have outperformed the market. We had sunk as low as the 27th ranked cryptocurrency, and we are back up to the mid-teens, which is a great spot to be. But yeah, there is significant churn there, and I think we're seeing sort of a rotation out of some of these older things like XRP and Litecoin, and some of these older projects into the new wave of Cosmos projects and DeFi apps.
There's still quite a few older projects still quite ahead of us, right? Even though there hasn't been much development happening. I guess I'm hinting at Dogecoin here, but maybe the value of it as a meme is enough to give it that much value, right? So there's this really cool site called cosmos-scan.net, and I'm taking all the data from it. They have great data all the way from 9 months back, starting in June of 2020. So I just want to quickly go over, what we had back then. So the chain size was only a bit over 100 gigabytes. There was about 54,000 accounts. Like these are different addresses, right, that hold some small number or large number of atoms. There were only 17,000 delegators. So, 17,000 addresses that actually clicked delegate or, use the CLI to delegate tokens to validators. There are about 19 million atoms transferred per day. And in USD value, that was about 50 million USD per day in transfer volume across atom addresses.
That's
And
impressive.
what's not impressive is the fee volume, which was just $20 a day. So clearly, no one's making a lot of money back then in terms of fees. So what about yesterday, right? The 17th of February. Let's see what's changed over the those months. So the chain size has more than doubled. The total accounts has increased by 233%, and at the same time, delegations have also increased by around the same number. So if you remember from the previous slide, we only had 17,000 delegators, now we have 57,000 delegators. I think it's really cool.
Nice.
It's really shown how many people are using Cosmos wallets today, right? Compared to just even the middle of last year. This is really impressive. And getting the user experience right will convince more people to hold on to their own keys and not delegate to an exchange, for example. I would expect there's probably more delegators than is on this list, right? Who are delegating directly through Binance or Coinbase. So I would expect this number is even bigger than what it is currently.
Zacky's complaining about all the delegators. They're the reason that the chain is taking so long to load. Big Genesis file.
It's only going to get bigger from here, right? How long is it going to take when we have 100,000 or 200,000 delegators? I don't know. Also, the transfer volume has increased, right? The amount of atoms floating around has increased, more than doubled since 9 months ago to 45 million atoms. And another one of these giant percentage growth marks, right? Nearly 20 times more USD transfer volume than in June of 2020. And the biggest number of all, right? The USD fee volume has increased to $1,200 a day. Still not a lot, right? You're not going to be able to pay much of a team based on this fee volume, but it is growing. And with some of the really cool features coming out of the hub, throughout this year and into next year, spoilers for future presentations, right? The fee volume will only increase from here as people find more utility from the hub. So thanks so much to CosmosScan for providing this data. We only have 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to go really quickly. The last slide is...
I think we've got 6 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got 6 minutes. And I'll let Billy talk about this.
Cosmos market cap. So this was funny. A couple weeks ago, Charlie Noyes from Paradigm was tweeting, we need a Cosmos market cap website that just shows the market cap of all the Cosmos projects. And it turns out that somebody already had built it, cosmoscap.com. It's a great site, and it lists all of the projects. And this is a really interesting metric for us because Cosmos Hub is one blockchain that has one token that has a single market cap, but it doesn't do a lot to sort of express actually how valuable our ecosystem is. We're building a blockchain, yes, but we're also building the tools to make blockchains. We're building an internet of blockchains. And so when you look at our project, you might just look at our single blockchain, but really you should zoom out and look at all of the projects building our tech, connecting to our network as sort of an ecosystem. And this project does a great job of sort of showing accumulatively how much value has been produced by Cosmos technology. So at the very top, you can see the cumulative $43.21 billion is the cumulative market cap. That's right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, it's wild that it is right. And I think both of you guys heard me say this at the time, but my metric as a product manager was assets under management on Cosmos-based chains. So I like seeing that.
Absolutely. I mean, if we were to take that accumulative market cap, we would be the third chain behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's funny, I actually had in my calendar, I think it was on February 12th or something like that. It was an event that I had put in there I guess over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it was a prediction from Zaki and Jack about how much value, total value locked on Cosmos chains. And Jack, your prediction was in Bitcoin, and Zaki's was in dollars. Zaki's was 25 billion, and on that day, it was basically on the money. Jack, yours was, I think, like 100,000 Bitcoin, which depending on the price of Bitcoin could be really, really accurate. On that day, it was still, we were way below 100,000 Bitcoin or something like that ended up being like in the trillions or something like that, or hundreds of billions. But I do love the gumption of like making this prediction so early and on the accumulative market cap rather than the Cosmos ATOM market cap, because that is what we're here for. We're here for the Internet of Blockchains.
Yeah.
So this screen cap here from Cosmos Cap is only the top sort of 17 projects in terms of market cap, right? There's over 230, I believe, mainnets currently running the Cosmos SDK, and that number is only going to balloon from here on, right? I could imagine seeing over 1,000 mainnets by the end of the year, easily. With some of the developer tooling we have in place, for example, the tool Starport that we're building allows anyone to spin up a chain in a couple of commands, right? And a couple of commands beyond that, you can create and send IBC tokens to the hub, for example, when token transfers are enabled. So it's a very, very competitive ecosystem. Like Billy said earlier, right? If we added up all the market caps, number 3 in all of crypto. And the synergies that are at play here for every one of us that use the SDK, and the multitudes of chains that are upgrading to Stargate over the coming weeks, we're only going to see this number grow, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, and I mean, the definition of what it means to me in mainnet is really going to be fundamentally different with IBC. So, I can launch a mainnet in my bedroom with my laptop if I have IBC in a single validator and I started moving real live atoms over to it. Like, that's mainnet, that's real money, I might not have a very impressive market cap to contribute to this big number, but the definition of mainnet is really going to change how easy it is to sort of launch. It's really exciting. We're at the 2-minute mark. Is there more slides, or should we shift over to a final touch point before wrapping up?
That's really just about it. The final slide is just our Twitter handles.
Cool. So what's the number for you all? We've been talking about numbers this whole time. What's the number you want to see a year from now? Is it the market cap? Is it the number of projects? Is it the total transaction volume?
Yeah, I think Jack's total assets under management is still probably the right metric to go for.
I said it was going to be 100 billion by the end of this year. We're going to 10x it, and that was like right around the new year. We had just hit 10 billion, so I think we're well on the way to that. I need to come up with some new metrics this year. I need to figure some new things out. I think there's a lot of like large technical upgrades with cross-chain staking and. Randomly sparse Merkle trees, I think, is a really important feature. And there's just going to be a bunch of stuff over this next year I kind of want to see get in. And yeah, building Sommelier right now as well. So yeah, new adventures.
Cool. 1 minute left. Mine would either be total value locked. Oh, we might have just been cut off too. No, total value locked or number of active addresses. I really want to see that finally. I think we've lowered the barrier of entry. We're at that point where we can start actually focusing on mainstream adoption, or we'll begin to. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
I'm also still really excited about mainstream dev adoption, right? I think getting more blockchains out there will encourage more people to build valuable chains.
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks very much for joining, you guys. I'm going to jump to the next session. See you all online in the Cosmos.
Fuck.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining.
Hi.
We've got Mira Storm from Ztake and Map of Zones, and we've got Jeffrey from IrisNet and Bianji. Mira, can you give yourself a quick introduction?
Sure, I'm Mira. I run Cosmos Validator under Ztake name, and we're also building Map of Zones Explorer. That's something new that we are going to present today.
That's great. And Jeffrey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jeffrey from IrisNet. Currently, we also preparing for the Hub's mainnet upgrade, which is will happen 1 week later. And also, yeah, we developed the IOBScan, which is for the Internet of Blockchain explorers. So also I will share some links of this kind of new product developed by BNG.
That's great. I haven't even gotten to preview that yet. Super exciting. How should we do this session? Do you guys want to do demo, share screen stuff? Should we just talk about challenges and features of these kinds of cross-chain block explorers?
I can do demo.
Shin, are we equipped for demos and sharing screens currently, or is that something we need to?
We can do it. So who's sharing their screen?
I can do it, or I just passed it a link also in the
It'd
chat.
probably be easier if you can share the link in chat.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I just shared the link.
Cool. So
Yes,
let's
I can
take a
also
session
share.
to click around on map of zones and talk about that. And then Jeffrey, do you also have a link that you'd be able to share and we can start talking about that
Yeah.
product? Or is that still cool?
Yeah,
So
I'm sharing the link.
in the chat, there's map of zones period 720 that Mira just shared. So if you click that and you've got that open, let's all assume everyone's looking at the same screen. Mira, can you tell us what's going on?
Sure. Map of Zones is a new type of explorer that's going to help users familiarize themselves with the Cosmos ecosystem. So one way we envision users using this project is to see what channels are open at the moment. I imagine once IBC is live and more zones upgrade their infrastructure, we'll hear more and more about their partnerships, and it's going to be hard to stay on track of those. Or maybe I'm just a newcomer and I want to see which zones I could transfer tokens to. And since multi-hub token transfers are not supported right now, I might perform several transactions to do so. So for example, like right now we have a mock data since there is no live mainnet available at the moment, but as soon as they are, we're going to load it and show it. So for example, I have tokens in Map of Zones 11 network, and I want to send them to Map of Zone 7. So all I can do, I can go to this Explorer, see what hubs I need to do to perform this transfer, and do it. On top of those, the entire map is interactive. So if it's hard to see or if you want to explore a particular zone, you can zoom in and see what it's connected. So I can imagine that people can see which zones are zones itself and which zones are necessarily a hub. And it can also act as a project discovery to see what new zones are available, as well as some interesting stats for the particular zone. For example, like, is the zone more active in outgoing transfers, or there's more internal transactions and only once in a while IBC transfers are happening.
And is this set up so that when the new Cosmos hub launches, it'll sort of automatically start exploring that? Is that a manual process? You'll add seed nodes or something, or what's that sort of crawl and additional aspect look like?
So for the Cosmos Hub, we'll have to manually add an RPC since it's going to be the first one. And we are trying out the crawler built by Best to see whether we can add it so that it automatically parses new nodes. But in order for the zone to appear, there needs to be at least one transfer. So once the first IBC token transfer has happened, we can see that the channel has been opened. And we will not only show Cosmos Hub as a standalone circle, but there will be a second circle where the token transfer went to.
Super cool. I see, Jeffrey, you're already sharing your screen. Should we transition and talk quickly about IOB?
Oh, yes. I think it's someone from Tendermint user just sharing the screen right now, just showing the Stargate Explorer right now. But actually, let me explain. This is for the single chain Explorer right now, like for the testnet of Stargate, and also the Bifrost run by the AirSnet, another testnet. Also, we are actually, if you have any kind of new cosmos-sdk Stargate version, if you start a new chain, actually we can deploy a new Explorer, a single chain Explorer version of the IOBScan for this chain very quickly. So any kind of new chain, if it is started, we can deploy a separate explorer, single chain explorer for it. But our next step will develop an interchain explorer that can show the IBC transaction between these different blockchains. So you can see the IBC transactions moved from one chain to another, just like so. I think it will be a new kind of user experience for this kind of explorer. We'll develop this kind of features of IOBScan later. And actually, we'll have upcoming features of the portal of the interchain of the IOBScan. I actually have shared this link before. That is the IOBScan.io. That is the portal of the interchain. So you can share. You can also see the visualization of the IBC connection between the different blockchains. Actually, we also have an image for that. Probably you have seen that image before on the ERSNet Twitter. Let me also share the link here. So this actually is a demo for this portal of the interchain. I think it's somewhat like the map of zones, because you can see the different networks, the connection between each other, and yeah, you can see the visualization of the IBC connections. So that's I believe the three main features of the IOBScan of this product. So right now we have developed the single chain version, and we will have this portal of the visualization and the interchain version of the IOBScan in the after the IBC is enabled.
So I've got the image pulled up on my screen. Yeah, I can see it's sort of like this top-down topography of networks, like map of zones, and the lines between these networks are either solid or dotted. Does that have to do with whether the IBC connection is actively working, or what's the difference there?
Oh yeah, actually, it is actually it's still a demo for that. The dot and the solid lines can be like they have already established the connection. Actually, they have been the different stages of the IBC connection, I believe.
Cool, cool. So it's like the dotted ones are probably still doing the handshake, and the solid ones have finished the process. Awesome, awesome. So we're at the minute mark. I'm always supposed to give a warning, and I'll have to drop off in just a second. But where do you all see the future challenges of creating a unified view for block explorers that do enough to like demonstrate specific features of a blockchain while still showing that they're actually part now of a much larger network? Do you think it's about providing many depths of views? Is it about providing a more coherent overview? In the same way, what do you think the most important aspect of a inter-blockchain block explorer is? Map of zones, I think you've made a real emphasis on showing the amount of packets moving and the discoverability of the networks. I'd say that there's a counterclaim that could be it's about showing the coins specifically. I'd be curious, maybe Jeffrey, if IOB has an eye towards one metric or the other.
Oh yeah, I believe that maybe the most important feature maybe for this kind of interchain explorer might be to let users to how to show the users that the transaction between the chains, like we can see a transaction like start from chain A and moved to chain B. So how can we show this transaction as one transaction? So I think it's somewhat difficult to show that the complete the flow of the transaction between the chains.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for joining today, you guys. I got to jump to the next session. See you online and in the Cosmos.
See you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Fellow cosmonauts joining me here, Nas and Sam Hart. Welcome. Nas, can you give me a quick introduction from space?
Yeah, I mean today it's no longer NASA, it's Nastronaut. I'm officially a voyager of the cosmos. Yeah, so I'm NASA. I'm working here at Tendermint on design stuff, which you're about to see.
Fantastic. Sam, welcome. I don't see, I guess you're in the space pod right now before exiting into severe conditions of outer space, so you're comfortable.
This is ground control here.
Can you give us a quick introduction? Who are you? What are you doing here?
Hey, I'm Sam Hart. I work hand in hand with Billy at the Interchain Foundation. And I help run the funding program, do a bunch of kind of strategy stuff at the Interchain Foundation, make sure that all of the core teams are kind of squared away and coordinated well. And have also been working closely with NAS on the Cosmos website rebuilds with some of the messaging and kind of overall brand strategy.
Yeah, so this is a combo session. The first part we're gonna talk about the website, which you guys have been working on a lot together. Second one, we're gonna transition into Cosmos Hub as a port city, a reference to an article that Sam and Ethan Buckman have been working on. I think that's sort of a conceptual guiding light for the concept of Cosmos. Let's kick off with the website though. Do you guys want to do it like a demo? You just walk us all through?
Yeah. So I'm afraid to say the first bad news is that we didn't manage to get this live today. So I'm afraid this will have to be first viewed through proxy. So yeah, what I'm about to show you is essentially just a prototype of this first iteration of the Cosmos Hub website. And so we start off with introducing Cosmos Hub and setting the context for the blockchain within the wider Cosmos and helping to disambiguate the two. And Cosmos Hub really is the heart of the Interchain. And to communicate that, we need to kind of think about some of the services that are on the Cosmos Hub. And they largely buckets of marketplace, security provider, router, and custodian. These are kind of the roles of the hub. At which point I'll take you off to show you some more features of the hub that are coming soon. But the hub, of course, wouldn't be the hub without the Atom. And so introducing the Atom token was kind of one of the primary objectives of this website, to help people understand its purpose, what its role is on the Cosmos Hub and in the wider Cosmos, of course. So staking being the main kind of feature of the Atom token today is the primary call to action here. And of course, we have much more than staking coming, with more utilities coming to the hub for interchain accounts, a DEX, of course, with an AMM, which allows the providing of liquidity, and bridges to ETH and BTC. We talk a little bit about the tech itself and why it's so accomplished, and some of those bragging rights, which I think everyone will appreciate coming from the likes of, well, other blockchains, let's say. And then we have a section dedicated to the developers. The developers can jump off from any given point, whether they're building a chain, connecting a chain, providing services like wallets, exchanges, or running a validator. And again, we give a glimpses to more features that are coming up ahead on the roadmap for the hub. And then, of course, there's all you beautiful people, the community. We'll have various links here to connect into these social channels and points where people can get support. And so I'll take you back up to show you the features, which is kind of the exciting stuff that's up ahead. So the hub's vision, which Sam will be in a little second, kind of covers these upcoming features and upcoming services on the hub. They fall into kind of two main categories of security and scalability, with likes of staking and voting in governance already live. But then we have interchain accounts up and coming, cross-chain validation coming later in the year, which is, of course, shared security. And then service marketplace for the hub is the likes of the AMM on the DEX, the Gravity Bridge, chain name service, staking derivatives. Various teams, as you can see, are all contributing to these features, and it wouldn't be appropriate not to mention all these people for their hard work. But of course, all of these features inevitably create more activity on the hub, which in turn is more fees, and fees are distributed to Atom stakers. So now it's probably time to learn about staking. So staking, of course, many people here will be familiar with, but for newcomers to the Cosmos ecosystem or to blockchain in general, might want to know what staking is. So we introduced these concepts of, securing the chain, earning rewards, voting in proposals on governance for the future of the network. But most people are excited about the rewards, right? I mean, this is where we can really, give you a sense of what the potential is for a return on the atom. This will essentially provide an estimator for staking a certain amount with different validators, which will add an option to select, and hopefully powered by stakingrewards.com. But then we, of course, talk about where these rewards come from, generally from just these two places, from fees and newly created atoms. But of course, we have to talk about the risks as well, and there's more about that in the FAQ. So now that you're ready to become a cosmonaut, like an astronaut himself, we can learn about staking atoms in 4 simple steps. So of course, I won't bore you with going through the process, but this is essentially a breakdown of 4 steps to staking. And then what we have for everyone unsure and asking, perhaps questions further back at a fundamental level. For instance, what is a blockchain? We'll have a whole FAQ section dedicated to learning the basics and understanding all of these new concepts and new terms. So, of course, FAQ, not very exciting, but very much necessary. And
before we get too into the weeds, maybe I can pick up. If you want to, you have like one more page, right? You want to just skim?
That's basically it, I think.
Okay.
Unless I've missed something.
Cool. I think we're running a couple minutes late, but if not,
sorry.
We literally have 1 minute left.
No, we're good. We're good.
No, I think you have 10
for the demo and 10 minutes to sort of talk about conceptual ideas. So, I mean, you're actually right on time to sort of transition.
So take it away.
Cool. Very good. Well, thank you for that, Nas. I didn't mean to cut you off. This is beautiful. It's actually progressed a bunch since like a couple of days ago, since I saw it last. So I'm very excited to see this launch. Yeah, so like I mentioned, Nas and I have been meeting weekly to kind of align on some of the messaging. And I mean, one of the challenges with the website is that it's a website for the internet, the internet or blockchains, and it's difficult to kind of capture the entire internet in a single resource. And actually, if you look back at the Cosmos white paper, what's described in the white paper is really focused on the internet of blockchains. The Cosmos Hub is mentioned. It has some description of a role that it might play, but the architecture that's elaborated is really about the network itself. And as a result, I think the Cosmos Hub has largely been kind of described in that context as a part of this kind of wider ecosystem, and it has this kind of like dispersed kind of concept of like what it is and how it should function. And now that IBC is live, now that the white paper is complete, we wanted to kind of refocus our attention on the hub and really give it more of a kind of coherent narrative and meme about kind of what it is, how it functions. So I've been working with Ethan Buckman on a blog post which is going to come out this week that tries to tie together some of the strands that people have talked about in regard to the hub. So there's a few like analogies that people have used. So if we're building the internet of blockchains, then this is some kind of router or exchange point. There's also a kind of great metaphor that Sunny Agrawal used at one point, that IBC is some kind of, he kind of likened it to the advent of like shipping containers in kind of standardizing a packet format or a transport format. And so in that way, IBC is a transport network. The kind of idea of a hub as an airport or some kind of transportation, transportation hub, transportation exchange has been kind of circulating for a while, but these all haven't like kind of cohered. And so an article that I wrote with a couple friends, Toby Shorin and Laura Lottie about a year ago, was on kind of decentralized branding and how effectively a brand can serve as a coordination mechanism. If you have a kind of strong enough narrative and idea of kind of what makes this chain, what is kind of considered canonical within that chain. In Bitcoin's case, this could be the kind of idea, the meme of 21 million coins. That's an idea that's both programmatically enforced and socially enforced. If there's an inflation bug, it would be reversed because the kind of idea of 20 million coins is really kind of core to the identity of that system. So what we came up with was just a kind of confluence of some of the narratives around the Cosmos Hub as a hub for the Interchain. So if it's kind of interacting with all of these packets, these kind of transport containers, then the hub is a port of some kind, so the kind of meme that we came up with is the hub is port city, and this is really kind of, I drew a bunch on my kind of experience in New York. New York is port city, like a lot of the great cities in the world are port cities, and they once you kind of have that meme in hand, have that idea in hand, I think it gives a lot of clarity to what it means to kind of succeed and create an environment that is in service of that meme. So
what do you think
what makes
like,
a good port city?
Oh, sorry, maybe you're just about to say. I was going to say, like, I want to know, like, one of my favorite distinctions is like what's in a hub, what's in a port city. Like, many cities have many features. What are the features of a port city? What are the things that make it good for a port city? What do you get out of it, and what are the people you find there?
Well, some centrality of the network is absolutely important. So connections to other major economies within the within the larger ecosystem of the Internet of blockchains. And that's something that we're absolutely focused on, is connections to Ethereum, connections to Bitcoin, all of these things. And then goods and services will kind of flow through that space. So
the spice will flow. Is that what you're trying to say?
The spice will flow is exactly what I'm saying. And we need to make the right tools, the right kind of marketplaces for the spice to flow.
Nice.
And so the things that we've been talking about, that Ethan and I have been talking about, is kind of how do you make the best kind of tooling, the best kind of user experience for interchain services, interchain trade routes, and trade deals. These are the kinds of things that the hub should be facilitating, is providing a secure environment for discovery of various goods and services on the interchain. It should be a portal for you to make your way within the network, to kind of to navigate and to kind of get hooked in, such that you can find the things that you need and travel to where you want to go.
This makes me think about the goods and services of a hub. For some reason, I'm thinking like going to a bank teller and using the pneumatic tubes to send checks in. And I was like, oh yeah, but it's also nice to have little sweet things here and there. The airport has like a food court. Now I'm like, what's the equivalent of giving somebody a lollipop when they visit the hub? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make lollipop chain, and I'm going to start sending lollipop tokens to every single address on the hub. They're going to be stored on the hub. Everybody look out for lollipop drop.
This is what is the Osmosis token? I feel like this is.
They better rename the lollipop, whatever it was. It's now a lollipop drop.
It's just the liquid drop.
We're at a minute. What's the big takeaway from the website, the idea of Cosmos as a hub, and why those as a port city?
I would say the big takeaway is that really all of the core teams are going to now draw their attention to the hub since IBC is shipped, and we've been putting a lot of time and energy into making sure that the lines of communication between these teams are really in place, and that Gaia is priority. And the hub and this blog article are meant to be kind of the guiding light for what the hub is, and there is no central body that decides like what goes into the hub. I mean, there's a kind of loose committee and there's many organizations that make up the hub's like core teams, and things like the website, the branding, the like language that we use around these things is crucially important for having a shared understanding of what the hub is, what it should do, how it should act, and this is really going to be the focus for 2021.
Nas, when can we expect a website? When do you think? Not to put any pressure.
Well, I'm hoping early next week we'll have the first version shipped. So yeah, watch this space.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I'm going to hop to the next session.
Thanks, Moon.
Hey everyone, good morning here from Toronto. I've got three other people here with me, and we're going to talk about what's coming next to the Cosmos Hub. So some of the cool things coming after Stargate, right? It's probably the biggest question on everyone's minds. Now with IBCs coming, IBC transfers being enabled soon, how do we make use of it? So we've got with us here Hyung Lee, Deborah, and Zarko. Hyung is the CEO of BeeHarvest, and do you want to give a quick intro about yourself, Hyung?
Yes, I'm Hyung from BeeHarvest, long-time validator and contributor for Cosmos Network, and we are currently building the DEX for the Cosmos Hub.
Okay, and Deborah?
Hi,
Hi, I'm Deborah Sampier, co-founder and CEO of Althea. We are a decentralized ISP, and we are building the Gravity Bridge, which is Ethereum, the Cosmos Bridge, and back again, built kind of especially for use by the hub.
And Zarko, a few words about yourself.
Hi, I'm Zarko. I'm a chief scientist at Informal, working mostly on ensuring that the system we are launching are correct and secure. We have been for quite some time in the space.
All right, so with Stargate, this upgrade today, it completes the Cosmos 1.0 white paper, right, from 5 years ago. And now we need a new white paper. We need a new roadmap. So a lot of these core teams have been thinking about what needs to come next, right? And the aim is to make the Cosmos Hub the heart of the Interchain, this port city, right, that Sam Hart just talked about, that welcomes trade and welcomes commerce from all around the world, but doesn't enforce, this, or doesn't require you to use it, right? So how does this hub work? We envision that the hub will work by acquiring and using some of the best modules directly from the ecosystem, right? So some of the ideas that we've all had in the community, is first of all, well, a DEX, right? A DEX is needed to encourage more tokens to get onto the hub. We need a chain name system, right, to ensure a trustless way to use tokens and use liquidity pools, and letting you understand that, for example, a chain is actually, the Cosmos Hub, and a token is actually the Cosmos atom and not just some random atom from a different chain. Copies the exact same chain ID and token name, right? We want to have bridges to Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? We want to be able to bring ERC20 assets over. We want to be able to send IBC tokens over to Ethereum as ERC20 tokens. We want to build a way to share the security that the hub offers with other chains and allow validator sets to quickly form for other chains. There's this idea of interchain accounts that Josh Lee at Chainapsis presented earlier today about how you can use one account to remotely control other accounts on other blockchains connected to the hub, right? Staking derivatives, right? Doing something with your atoms other than just staking with them. And of course, a marketplace for NFTs, right? A lot of this is up in the air right now, but we're working together between all core development teams to come up with a collaborative roadmap. And there'll be more details to come. So just follow at Cosmos to learn more about, when this is ready. So that's the white paper. It's on the way, and it's going to be a multi-year roadmap. But what's coming this year, right? So we got the presenters here, including me, presenting 4 different things that we think will, be able to come to the hub this year. So first of all, we have Hyung presenting the Gravity DEX.
Okay, so from the context of port city, every port city has a strong financial utility because of all the trading and contracts going on. So our team having a financial background and with experience, so we have a vision for Cosmos Hub to provide most important core infrastructure for financial activities. So this Gravity DEX is the first infrastructure for financial activities along interchain galaxy. So a lot of tokens, including cosmos-sdk powered networks, or Ethereum tokens, including all the DeFi investment tokens, and also tokens from other connected networks via IBC or PEG, such as Bitcoin. Those kind of tokens can be floating around to the Cosmos Hub to be traded. So Gravity DEX will provide such marketplace for token trading and forming liquidity. So here's our demo for version 1 Gravity DEX, swap.bharvest.io. And this GitHub link is our current development progress.
And what does the timeline look like, right, for the Gravity DEX?
Yes, so we started this project from last year, end of last year. And by February, we will have signaling proposal submitted. And in March, we will finalize Gravity DEX version 1 code base. And in March also, we will have another Gaia upgrade proposal to adopt Gravity DEX version 1 in mainnet. And in April, we will launch the Gravity DEX on CosmosWasm, and also front-end website will be provided. And in May, we also want to enable limit order by governance proposal. So this is not the end of our journey. So after this, we will start building Gravity DEX version 2 from March. So it will be end in June. And we will have dynamic batch period and also custom pool type, which will include not only curve finance style pool, but also balancer style custom pool. And also after this, we will have Gravity DEX version 2 launch in July.
That sounds incredibly cool, Hyun. I recommend anyone who's interested in trading IBC tokens to try out the demo, right, at swap.beharvest.io. Do you plan on having any sort of incentivized test nets to get people to try this out further before we propose it onto the hub?
Yes. Incentivized testnet is a great way to test and also attract people to use our service and having bugs or other improvement from our system. And we are thinking about trading competition because this is a exchange, and most exchange are having an event of this, like incentivized trading competition, so that people can enjoy the competition and trading activities on our DEX platform.
That sounds incredible. Right. Well, stay tuned, right? Because we're going to have much more news about the Gravity DEX coming up soon. It's one of the probably the first things that will come onto the hub after IBC is enabled. I'm really excited about it. All right, let's move on to the next project that is going onto the hub that we hope, right? It really depends on Atom holders, right? But we hope this is something that Atom holders want. So first of all, before I dive into the chain name system, I want to show you why this is a problem and one that we need to solve in the first place. So I am minimizing the slide deck, and I'm going to wait 1 second. All right, so inside here, I got a video. Hopefully it works well with you guys. So here's a 2-minute demonstration. I was thinking that, what this 4.5-hour launch party needs is actually someone using IBC to transfer tokens from one chain to another. So with this tool Starport, that our team have been building, it allows for just that, right? With 5 commands, you're going to be able to create a new chain and send it to another blockchain, right? And while the Cosmos Hub hasn't enabled this feature yet, we have another blockchain running called Starport Network Testnet that we can send these tokens to. So I'm going to just play it. And you'll see which commands these 5 are. So first of all, you'll need to create a new chain, right? Using the Starport CLI app, you type in the URL of your chain. All right, so the chain has been created, and you're able to go inside it and start serving the chain. So this will launch a single node for your chain, a single validator, and it'll also create tokens for you and give it to 2 addresses that have already been predefined. It installs all the necessary prerequisites. So once you have your chain running, you're going to want to start the IBC transaction relayer. Right, so there's a bunch of default settings that we're going to use here to just connect it directly to the Starport Network blockchain. So at this point, we have a running blockchain already called World, and we have another running blockchain called SPN. And what this has done is it uses a faucet on both chains to put tokens onto the World blockchain and put tokens onto the SPN blockchain. With this command number 4, Starport Relayer Connect, it establishes a channel between both chains, which allows for sending transactions between chains. So right here, we're going to take a look at the our balance on the SPN blockchain, right? It should have no tokens from the world blockchain. It has 100 tokens, but these are native tokens to the SPN blockchain. So let's see what happens to this balance page when we actually transfer tokens from world over. All right, with the relay running and the channel open, right? We're just sending an IBC transaction here, signing it. It's a bunch of gibberish that you shouldn't be able to see if you're using a GUI wallet. So we've sent an IBC transaction, reloading the page. There you go. This is an IBC transaction of a coin that we just created 2 minutes ago on a new blockchain sent to the SPN blockchain. And this will be possible on the Cosmos Hub itself 2 weeks after the proposal for enabling IBC transfers is allowed. But of course, there's a problem, right? If you look at the denomination, it's a very long, like 64-digit string of characters. Like, where did this token actually come from, right? It came from IBC, but as far as which chain, it's really not really clear. So that's where the chain name system comes in, right? So I'm going back to the slide deck here. And the chain name system module has two purposes, right? It should allow for the trustless confirmation of chain IDs and IBC connection IDs, right? And it should provide metadata about every IBC connected chain, right? Like seed nodes, full nodes, endpoints for wallets, for example, to allow devs to easily connect to them, to allow wallets to connect to them, to allow developers to spin up full nodes relatively quickly. So as an atom holder functionally, what does this mean? It means that you should be able to just obtain and administer chain names on behalf of chains themselves, whether it's through like a single account or through a multi-sig. We're working on a proof of concept right now, and it's coming next month for you guys to play around with. Here's the GitHub link if you want to stay up to date on the progress. All right, we don't have much time here, so I'm just going to move on and allow Deborah to present the Gravity Bridge.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Peng. And thanks so much, everyone, for having me. And I will try to keep this brief, too, so we can hear Zarko's amazing presentation as well. So the Gravity Bridge is a bridge between Ethereum and Cosmos that allows users to send assets originating on Ethereum into the Cosmos ecosystem. And then that's Gravity V1, and that is up and running on testnet right now. And we can send Ethereum to Cosmos and back again. And then there's a Gravity V2, which we are just about wrapped up with. And for that, you can lock tokens on the Cosmos side and mint them on the Ethereum side, which allows us to do things like have atoms or Cosmos-based assets on Uniswap, which is very exciting. And let me just give you kind of like the breakdown of how Gravity could be used in like a really simple use case. So if you have like 25 DAI, you send 25 DAI to the Gravity .sol contract on Ethereum, specifying your address on Cosmos that should receive the DAI. Validators on the Cosmos chain see that this has happened and mint 25 DAI on Cosmos for your address. Now the DAI can be sent to other accounts on Cosmos. You can use IBC here. We do add lots of different DeFi applications there. And then if you want to go back to Ethereum, you send that DAI back to the Gravity module on the Cosmos chain, specifying their address on Ethereum that should receive it. The Cosmos validators burn the DAI on the Cosmos chain and send an Ethereum transaction, causing the Gravity.sol contract to send the DAI to your Ethereum address. It's kind of the simple breakdown of that. For our roadmap, we have the testnet in progress right now. We're hoping also to work with Young there and Harvest and showcase what the AMM looks like on the Gravity Bridge. And then we'll be looking to do some incentivized testnets in March, which is really exciting. Right now, we're kind of getting some feedback on what that stress test looks like. Some of the things that we're thinking about are like, how do we like really break it from the Ethereum side and see what happens there with the bridge and some of the different dynamics that might happen in a state where Ethereum is not healthy. And then, yes, of course, very similar to bHarvest's timeline for the DAX, we'll be doing a signaling proposal to the hub, and then and the full proposal in April sometime.
Thanks, Deborah, for sharing about the Gravity Bridge. I think it has a massive amount of potential, right, to connect us to the largest DeFi ecosystem in the world, and to allow people to start experimenting using their ERC20 tokens in an environment that's, let's just say, much cheaper to play around with to start with.
Absolutely.
All right, here we have Zarko with cross-chain validation.
Yeah, so like Gregory from Region said in one of the earlier sessions today that we are essentially trying to secure so many dreams. And so with the cross-chain validation, I think we are literally trying to do this, or like increase that the meaning of that securing so many other dreams. So we with cross-chain validation, we want to make it easier for new zone to launch in a secure, interconnected world. It is based on IBC, so it's IBC protocol essentially at the core. So we are essentially relying on a full IBC security for it. It will give a possibility to essentially atom holders to opt in providing security for zones, both for delegators and validators. And the cool thing about the cross-chain validation is that it enables adding capability to the hub without compromising integrity of hub. So like if you think about hub as a kind of more of Cosmos, if you want. And also, but by doing this, we also try to have a protocol which aligns incentives between the zones and hub. So right now we are, we sort of are at the point where we wrap up the first version of the protocol, and now we engage, which is more like a distributed protocol side, like security analysis, how the IBC app should look like. And now we engage in talking with various stakeholders to understand the integration points, like how this thing would look like in practice, what is the first set of features which should go there, and how we can figure out economics, integration with like Starport, with like existing staking module. So we are essentially right now there. And so in terms of timeline, you can check on the GitHub page here how the protocol looked like, but we are more or less now entering this, let's say, planning phase where we won't really understand what we are building, and I hope that we'll start developing this in the following months. So hopefully summer and end of the year, we'll have this thing live.
Well, thank you so much, Zarko, about sharing cross-chain validation. I think there's a lot of potential there for validator sets to be very quickly created, using a lot of the security that secures the $6 billion on the Cosmos Hub today. So, encouraging more innovation through cross-chain validation is definitely something I care about a lot.
Yeah, I think that like the one really cool thing is that, as also Dean mentioned today, that after IBC launch, you will not be launching you will essentially be launching in an interconnected world. And the cool thing is that we share security. We have IBC as a very nice boundary on which we can exercise the security mechanisms. So you can really have the security of the hub, but also like we can ensure that the zone doesn't go crazy, and so we can really using shared security, I think, keep expanding the system in a very secure and correct way.
Yeah, the security is shared, right? But there's still decoupled zones, so we're still going and keeping the true core advantage of Cosmos there, which is sovereignty.
Exactly.
All right, thanks everyone for listening in. I think that wraps it up for us.
Thanks, guys.
Woo. And we're live.
All right.
Good morning and good night, everybody. We've got Ethan Frey here from Confio. Welcome, Ethan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we've got a 10-minute session, and we want to talk mostly about cross-chain smart contracts. Could you briefly give us an intro? And I mean, you've been in the Cosmos space for a long time. I think you could spend all 10 minutes talking about everything you've worked on in the space, but can you summarize it for us?
Oof, yeah, I joined in, I guess, 2016, I entered in Tendermint. I got reference to it and started trying to build a little app on it, and ended up January 17 joining the Tendermint team, pre-ICO, and worked on IVL tree. Back then, the first version of cosmos-sdk. I wrote a white paper on IBC back in 2017. It was basically taking JSIDs and formalizing them into something you could build on, first spec. Eventually went off and started building with IOV to build multi-chain apps, but front-end only. There's no IBC. So basically a DApp that would connect to multiple blockchains and show them concurrently, which is part of the name service idea. So yeah, now I'm working a few of the projects. I've been working CosmWasm the last year, which is virtual machine contracts. And now we've got that working with IBC as well.
Hell yeah. So CosmWasm's first iteration was part of this historical hackathon in Berlin in 2019, right? That summer. You hacked it together and you had something working. What's the difference between what you made in like 24 hours and what you made in 2 years?
In 24 hours, we could write to storage and return values and return send message, I think, bank send message only. We had contract size of 1.8 million. We had no gas metering, and there's no security basically. It worked for a nice, very simple contract in a happy case. Now it has a lot more features. It can query across other contracts. It has access to a lot of messages it can use. It has much nicer APIs to use on it, helpers to build on it. So you're not building all this low-level FFI stuff by hand. Much smaller contract sizes, much faster, secure, and we've worked a lot also with a secret network to really ensure malicious contracts can't do anything. Not even just burn a lot of memory or gas. Like nothing. They can't do anything out of it shouldn't be able to do. They can't spend a minute of CPU cycles or anything. So spent a lot of time really making it really robust there, and treating performance.
We might have some people in the audience who are familiar with Ethereum virtual machine, another smart contract that's popular in the blockchain space. So CosmWasm mainly targets smart contracts being written in Rust. It's not primarily the same way that EVM, I guess, can have different languages used. But what are some other features of the CosmWasm virtual machine that are fundamentally different from the Ethereum virtual machine?
So I'm going to say, first of all, we're not just Rust. We only Rust now because we're moving and don't have the dev resources to support 3 languages. We had a prototype of assembly script, early prototype back in January last year, very minimal. And we have a semi-working prototype of Go, tiny Go working with 0.11, 0.13. So the current version, release version, we do have a Go contracts that run on it. It's pretty, you need a lot of hand-holding the Go contracts. They're not nice, easy to use as Rust ones. But we need a better toolkit for it. So there's definitely will come out later more contract languages. The biggest difference I think here is not just the WASM, the languages you use, but I think the design for security by default. So Ethereum's a lot of things like errors happen, aren't checked. There's reentrancy bugs a lot of places. There's lots of weird issues there if you look through them. And so when designing this, one idea was avoiding reentrancy, which is the largest bug and big issue there. Another one is going through all of the kind of top 20 attack vectors and see which ones you could block. There are things about using block hash as source of randomness, so we just don't give you the block hash and stuff like that. So we try to make this as much as possible secure from default, and then add functionality on top of it.
You have the capability so I mean, the flow is like you deploy a contract, but you don't actually deploy the code until the second transaction. Is there also the sort of idea that you can self-destruct a contract? Can you upgrade them? What is that sort of path like?
Yeah, so you first have code. The bytecode's pretty big, so you're not uploading new bytecode every contract. So if 100 people are deploying the Open Zeppelin ERC20 contract, why do you upload it 100 times? So WASM contracts are much bigger than Ethereum bytecode. So you will upload the bytecode once, like Open Zeppelin ERC20, CW20 we have, our standard one. And then if you want the same one, you just instantiate it. It's a really cheap operation to instantiate it. Basically say, give me a copy with different initialization values for this same code. different denom, different owner, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the first step, is basically uploading the code. The second, you can use as many times as you want to instantiate different contracts. Each contract is a life cycle. You initialize it once. You can then execute it as many times as you want. The biggest issue there is migration. The biggest trick we have is migration. So migration allows you to change contract from one code to another code. So if you have a CV20, now you added new features, you have CV20 bonding curve, you want to change it from a normal one to a bonding curve, you can do that if you're the admin. So we have, basically when you create it, you can either allow it to be fixed forever or have a special admin account that can migrate it, which of course should be multi-sig and is a security hole. So you might want to freeze it. This allows quick iteration early on until you secure the contract with the same state. And then you can say, hey, I'm going to turn the admin off and freeze it now. There's real value on it. So I think it's a real nice way of iterating on chain and then saying freezing it at some point that you're secure of it.
Which is a feature you see in Ethereum smart contracts all the time. But since it's so common, I love the idea that you've baked it into the protocol itself as an option. And this idea of reusing contracts in the same way. Of course, we want to talk specifically about interchain contracts. And you guys have implemented IBC just really recently inside of CosmWasm natively. So it's not just that you're handing it off completely to the IBC module layer up, but a lot of it's actually, core to how CosmWasm works. Is that right? Or where's the line between what you guys have implemented and where the other module lives?
So what we implemented basically is we're not touching the core protocols, transfer, channel, et cetera, What we're doing is you look at the transfer module. For example, when people think IBC, they think ICS 20. But it's not. There's a coin transfer module that uses IBC to send packets back and forth. And we've added interfaces, and this is master branch is not released yet. We're still adding a few more things. A master should be released within the month. But this is a big one. We're adding basically we have some sample contracts. They take all the same callbacks as a module does. So you can participate in channel handshake, requiring the different version, ordering, et cetera. And you can receive packets, receive acknowledgements, and receive timeouts. And you can also send packets. You can even send packets to handshake. So our example contract was basically a Interchain account type reflect contract we have. It's a nice simple demo we use. And when you establish a connection, the calling side will send a message upon successful connection, and register itself and query stuff back and forth. So I think it's very nice. And both of them do that stuff automatically. So I think it's pretty nice integration with our whole model of everything can call, and every function can return messages to call asynchronously.
So we're at the end of our 10 minutes. I wanted to give you a final sort of designation of wow, how trippy this is. You've rebuilt IBC entirely inside of a virtual machine that's running on a blockchain that also has IBC, you guys. So get trippy with me here, everybody. Try out the new CosmWasm. Ethan, thank you for joining me.
So can I have the last words here? I just want to say that I think the huge power of this is when IBC requires the same protocol on both sides. And that takes a long time to deploy both sides. With a contract, you can quickly, if you have two CosmWasm chains, you can deploy a contract here and iterate on them, migrate them, iterate on them on both sides until you have a protocol you really works perfectly. At that point, you can freeze it. And then you have So I think it can be a really great way of developing IBC and allowing everyone to start iterating really quickly in IBC.
Hell yeah. Thanks again, Ethan.
Thank you.
And we're live with Aiden. Aiden, welcome. Thank you for joining me in Cosmos Outer Space.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're calling from Toronto, right? It's the middle of the night there.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m.
Oh my God. You're not running a validator, are you? You're not also splitting your attention between this crazy upgrade.
Sorry, there's a bit of a echo. I'm not sure if you hear that as well.
So maybe try refreshing your browser. It usually fixes a lot of things.
Cool, one moment.
For you all watching there, monitoring, I think I saw somebody say we're up into the 40%. Once we get to 67%, the network will come online and start producing blocks.
Hey,
you're back.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, and congratulations to everyone who's listening and who's been a part of this incredible milestone. It's absolutely insane to see all of this happening.
Building very closely to the final moments. Thank you for joining. Yeah, thanks again for coming so late. I feel like I'm talking to people in so many crazy time zones right now, but I really appreciate everybody sort of all hands on deck here. We're at 38%, I hear Ethan say inside the chat. Cool, and Aiden, you join us from ChainSafe. You are the CEO there, the team who's been building Ethermint for many years now. Right now, I think we're running, you're running a test net related to the eventual mainnet of the Ethermint zone. Would you like to give a brief introduction to your work, and your involvement in Cosmos?
Absolutely, yeah. So, hi everyone, my name is Aiden, and at ChainSafe we love to build blockchains and do a whole bunch of stuff in between. And one of the incredibly exciting things that we're working on at the moment is Ethermint. And so Ethermint is really two pieces. It's an EVM module and a zone. And the goal of Ethermint is to allow for the Ethereum and Cosmos communities to come together and really push forward a proof of stake on-chain governed Ethereum based blockchain that can provide for so many different use cases, for so many different things. And it's incredibly exciting because, with Stargate, we're that much closer towards our mainnet launch. And so right now we've had a testnet running since November. And we have a branch with Stargate that, currently our binary is working on. We're just working on a bunch more integration tests before we're merging everything into development, including testing out the IBC module more directly and just making sure we can interact with other zones. So really exciting times for Ethermint, for Cosmos in general, of course. And we're just really excited to get more and more people involved in our kind of community initiative. We're not selling any tokens or anything like that. This is something that's going to be a public good for the Cosmos and Ethereum community. And we're just so excited to get more and more people to join that mission of just building cool technology that's usable for so many different reasons.
That's great. So break it down for me. What's the difference between Ethermint as a module and Ethermint as a blockchain?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, at the end of the day, you can use both. It's all open source. You can check it out and do whatever you want with either. Ethermint, the module, is just another module that, can join your series of modules to do EVM compatible things. And the beauty of this module is that, it plays nice with other things. So you can really do whatever you want. And it just is, sorry, it's 4 a.m. And the zone itself is really a productionized version of a Cosmos SDK module with obviously the EVM, the productionized Cosmos SDK zone that utilizes this EVM module. So, things like, JSON RPC and stuff like that will be absolutely first-class citizens, or the Ethereum specification for JSON RPC or first-class citizens. And like I said originally, or alluded to, really the token economics and how this is a community-led initiative is really going to be what allows the zone to really, stretch its legs and get a lot of adoption, because, we're doing this for people, with people, and this isn't something that we're doing in isolation. That is, something we're going to investors and raising money on. So it's really important to remember that this is something for every one of us to just take ownership of and to, hopefully be really excited about when we do get a lot closer to the mainnet. So yeah, we are in the testing phase. Like, it's there for you to use. And we're just really incredibly excited to, over the next coming weeks to relaunch our testnet with Stargate and have, so many people provide feedback like they have been since November, which has been so incredibly appreciated on our end. There's nothing better than being able to build these things and seeing people use it directly.
Yeah, one of the distinctions I like to make is sort of like between Gaia as a code base, which has a specific set of modules and features that make up the Cosmos Hub, and the Cosmos SDK, which is a code base for that actually contains a bunch of modules that could be used, but Cosmos SDK isn't a blockchain itself. It's a toolkit for building blockchains. So the Ethermint code base is, well, I guess there would be eventually two code bases, right? One code base for the Ethermint chain, which imports the Ethermint module that might be in a different code base. So the Ethermint chain, being a Cosmos SDK chain, will have the Ethermint module, but it'll have other modules. It'll have governments, like you mentioned. It'll have IBC, like you mentioned. Are there other features of the Ethermint blockchain itself that you imagine will be in the future?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think the ways in which we expand the functionality of the EVM itself with things like IBC is really where we're going to have an incredibly exciting kind of path ahead of us. And yeah, on top of that, it is going to be a community initiative, right? So we're really looking forward to hearing from people and getting feedback directly in terms of what people want, right? Like this is going to be, following standard governance in the Cosmos world. And so, we will be looking to the people today who are a part of this call and the people who are listening to this in another time to really help us just make those decisions. Because at the end of the day, we have, a specific set of kind of, expectations. And this is something, we work really closely with you, Billy, and others at the ICF and the Cosmos community in general to really make sure that we're all on the same page. But beyond that, this is a community initiative and one that we will be working together with all of you. So, I think the thing that I'm personally most excited about is IBC through the EVM and what that provides. I still can't get over that I'm looking at you and talking seriously, like looking at you like this. I'm not going to lie to you. It only just struck me how funny this is.
It's 4 a.m. Of course there's a moon.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, those are the things I'm personally excited about. We have some really exciting things to share with people about gas and how we handle things, certain things, or what possibilities we have kind of to share with people that we think are exciting. But again, a lot of these things, we need the community's buy-in, right? We're not going to do anything too extreme without the support of people around us. So it's really important to, at the end of the day, remember that to us, and hopefully to all of you, Ethermint will be seen as a public good, as just, one of the core kind of components of the Cosmos ecosystem that is there for you to use and take advantage of, and not necessarily there for any kind of individual actor's control, which, starting out like that will be pretty exciting and pretty unique to some chains. And so we're really thankful, to be working with yourself and other actors in the Cosmos ecosystem to make sure that we have that, built out from the beginning in that way, that community really. So yeah, like an on-chain governed Ethereum with IBC through the EVM, that to me, obviously proof of stake, instant finality, these are things to me that are pretty wild to think about how close we are for.
So keep an eye out for it, everybody. We're at the end of our session. Thank you so much for joining me so late at night, Aiden. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, everyone. And congratulations again to all of you. This has been years of hard work that, obviously we see every day happening, and to have all of this kind of come together in this incredible event. Just congratulations to all of you. You're doing incredible work, and everyone's so thankful for it.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Here we are at the closing ceremonies. We are so close to live network. What are we at right now? What's our percentage?
40%, roughly.
40%.
More than halfway there.
More than halfway there, you're right, because we only need to get 67% or 66.6666666%, 7%. How are you guys holding up? What time zone is everybody at? Ethan and Pong, you're at like 4 a.m., right?
Yeah, 4:30.
Jackie,
I
you're-
expect the two of us will continue to have to be up until the blocks start getting generated, right? So we won't be here until, you know.
You got some coffee with you? You guys loaded up? You got the Red Bull?
Yeah, I'll need more coffee.
That's a good
I actually don't even know. What's the latest like amphetamine, caffeine, popular
Jar
drink
for
drug?
$1.
You got? Which is brew. It's 1 a.m. for you, Zachy, is that right?
1:30, yeah.
1:30. You'll be up all night too, I'm sure. You don't sleep though, do you, Zachy? You're just like,
I can show you my iPhone sleep tracking data. Like, I legit sleep.
Are you intermittent? I mean, I feel like you're kind of always.
I wake up usually once in the middle of the night and respond to messages and go back to sleep.
Wow, that's like olden times. People used to have like 2 sleeping phases. They'd wake up for like an hour, the witching hour or something.
Yeah.
That's all I do. Like I like this reputation of not sleeping. I have the data I can show you. Adriana is not sleeping. I'm real worried about this, right? Like basically since Prop 34 started, Adriana is not sleeping. I'm messaging Adriana like literally 24/7.
Adriana,
we're trying to get more help for Adriana. We're hiring more people. You know, Prop 34 is like a full-time job, and we need to get more help with marketing. So
yeah, I think if anybody in the audience, I think every single company in this space is hiring. If any of this is attractive to you, if next time you want to be on this side of the screen, look at jobs.cosmos.network, look at tendermint.com, interchain.berlin, and formal.systems. All of us have got jobs posted.
yeah, I'm dropping the link in the chat. Check out the jobs. There's like over 80 positions open or something. And
nice.
You know, if you don't feel like you're qualified for a job, you know, just learn a little bit more about the stack. And I'm sure there's many ways you can contribute. Launch a chain yourself, right? Starport's making it easy enough. Anyone can launch a chain.
Exactly. So this is our closing session. We are very close to a launch period, but we might not make it within the actual time frame that we have. What are the most memorable parts of the last 3 hours for each of you? Pong, you want to start?
Yeah, so while everyone has been, you know, watching this presentation, people who are running validators are staring at their console. So that's been the most memorable part for me, trying to decipher what's going on with this, with the new, you know, Gaia logs, and trying to figure out if my validator is actually running or not right now.
That's great.
But in terms of talks, right, I've also been listening to talks. I have like 2 tabs open, right? And I think the best talk for me so far has been the very first one, right? Listening to people reminisce about, you know, how Cosmos started with just, you know, a couple of people, 3 or 4 people, you know, 5 years ago, and to see the community grow to like, you know, over 50,000 delegators right now is really impressive, right? We built our own little city together, an online city, and it can only grow from here.
Port City. Zachy, how about you? Last 3 hours, what comes to mind?
I mean, I would say the things that people have had trouble with have been mostly things that I had people had trouble with. I did not ever really think through this whole like config migration piece. Like everything I ever tested on this was like a brand new config file. I never thought about people trying to like migrate config files in production. Inclusion has struggled a little bit with that. I've been seeing a bunch of validators struggling with that. The confusion about the whole crisis invariant story is not surprising. I was certainly worried coming into this week as I saw how big the state had gotten. I was like expecting this to be painful, and it's painful, and we're getting there. So it's not really too different. In general, like validator participation during the simulated upgrade, we did that back in November, was not ideal. So I think a lot of people are kind of battling through some of this stuff for the first time, and it's confusing, but like pretty much everything we've been seeing, we saw during the simulated upgrade, which was, it took us 6 tries to get the simulated upgrade to actually work. And this hasn't been as painful as that. I think we're gonna succeed relatively shortly. I don't know if it's like 2 hours away or 3 hours away, but we're getting there. And so it's pretty much as expected. And yeah, I knew it was going to be a late night.
Ethan, how about you? I'm guessing it might be when you said, "Did we test this with regard to?"
I did not say that. I thought someone else said that.
We totally tested it. You just weren't there.
Yeah, I tested a bunch of it too. No, I mean the whole height confusion was pretty hilarious. I mean, we have this like amazing BFG system with like a Byzantine fault tolerant timestamp, and like we all shut down at different times on different blocks and are trying to figure out socially in a Discord chat, what block we agree on.
We needed a blockchain to solve this problem.
That was pretty ironic. But we got through that and that was good. And we're 3.5 hours into this thing now. Cephalopod came online already, so that was pretty exciting for us when our validator voted. But we've otherwise just been in the chat trying to help out, and yeah, it's been awesome seeing everyone participate and get up to do this crazy thing together. So yeah, thanks a lot to everyone who's been working on that.
I'm gonna share my screen so we can give us some more gratitude. Prepared a couple of slides here we can go through real quick. So yeah, so to the Stargate engineering teams, right? All 7+ of you guys. This document, this image only shows, a very small fraction of the actual people working on Stargate, right? Some of the teams include Regen, Informal, Interchain GmbH, Tendermint core team, Akash, All in Bits, Seclusion. But there's very many more people, right? And beyond the developers themselves, right? We have 125 validators right now. They're all teams themselves. They're all staying up, whether it's, working late, working all through the night, or, staying up until the early hours. Thanks to you guys for making the upgrade happen. And I think we have quite a few more hours to stay up to see if it actually works. But I have faith that it's going to start producing blocks. So you guys, in this picture, I need to update this app actually. It's not gonna work with a new version of Gaia, so I'll spend some time probably this weekend making this 3D animation work again for Cosmos Hub 4. And thank you to the 56,000 Atom stakers, right? It might be higher by now.
It looks like Billy.
What's that?
Said it looks kind of like Billy.
Billy, the Cosmos Hub.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And also, like Zaki said earlier, you guys are also the ones slowing down this this process of upgrading to the next version of the hub.
It would have been a lot easier if they just waited a couple of months to start, But then, Sonny started talking about an airdrop. And and then I contributed, there's definitely contributing from me and mine. This whole process.
Right,
Screen everyone. I'm getting close. Don't be afraid if the moon gets really big. I'm getting close to my screen so I can read.
Yeah, the words here are pretty small, but thanks to all the organizers and people who presented, right? So the people you aren't seeing who've been here this entire time is Adriana, Sinju, and Kelsey, right? Who've been organizing all the presentations, making sure everyone's online, got their timelines in sync and everything. And then this massive list of presenters down here. I'm not going to go through them one by one. And I'll share the slide deck again later. But thanks for coming on and sharing on what you've been working on for Cosmos and Stargate. And then biggest thanks of all to Billy, who's been emceeing every single one of these from 3.5 hours ago until now.
Admin reveal.
Yay! Billy. Wow.
Turns out it's not a moon. It was me.
Not a moon at all.
Thanks for pulling up that thank you list, Pong. I really appreciate it. Yeah, huge shout outs to everybody who's made this possible. Everybody who's joined me on the screen and spoken, everybody who's in the trenches right now, getting your validators up and running. Everybody's gonna stay in those trenches for a little while longer. Let's get this network up. Let's produce some blocks, y'all. Cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming, everybody, you all, everybody, and let's see each other in the cosmos.
Yeah. See you guys.
Awesome.
See you guys.